And have a nice Tuesday, and we're going to pass you over to Greg. Good morning, Greg.
You have a nice Tuesday too, Lee.
Thanks very much. You're very good. Thank
Okay,
you.
see you Wednesday.
That's tomorrow.
All right, it is the 9 till noon show, and we have a busy one for you as always. I think you've come to expect that now. Hopefully we deliver. But before we get things underway, let's take a look at what's happening in the world of news. And we say good morning now to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The fire service is currently dealing with an ongoing incident off the Kilmacrennan Road in Letterkenny. A number of appliances are at the scene in the Slieve Drummond estate. Motorists are advised of traffic delays in the area. No further details are currently known. A member of the Pension Commission says the Minister for Social Protection's plans for higher payments is a bad idea. Under the scheme, which is set to be unveiled today, those who work until the age of 70 will benefit from a higher state pension of €315 a week. It's aimed at keeping more people in work for longer and ending the political row over retirement age. The Commission recommended raising the pension age to 68, and member John McGreen is not impressed by Heather Humphrey's plans.
The only way we can fund it is through contributions from people who are in work and the employers who employ them. The reality is we would have to charge more to employ people, and that's a bad idea, because what we're trying to do here is keep people working to fund the system.
The Gairloch of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District will today ask officials to carry out a full inspection of all footpaths in the district. Figures seen by Councillor Donegal Kelly show a significant increase in compensation payments for injuries sustained in falls. In a motion to be taken today, Councillor Kelly proposes that the council carry out an inspection on all footpaths within the town boundaries and outlying areas and carry out any necessary repairs and hedge cutting required.
I had a lot of phone calls regarding footpaths with hedges overgrown, and I suppose halfway skin out the footpath where mothers were passing with prams and had briars and bits of bushes sticking out, and also footpaths, they're not in great shape. They need to be verged back and then widened to their full capacity, and also anywhere we have cracks or repairs need to be carried out.
Meanwhile, long called for road improvement works have been carried out at the Ora Leisure Centre in Letterkenny. A new non-slip surface has been installed at the pedestrian crossing. It's after serious safety concerns were raised by local residents about the speed at which motorists travelled along the route. Councillor Donegal Kelly has welcomed the works, but says more improvements are still needed at the crossing. Finally, for weather now, mostly dry today with cloudy periods and some bright spells. There will be just a few patches of rain or drizzle with highest temperatures of 16 to 19 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Did I play the wrong clip at the wrong time?
Did you?
Did I?
No.
All right,
no.
okay. It's just you did something new and different and caught me out. All right, Michaela, listen, thanks. Chat to you at 10.
Declan? Yeah? Did you know there's already been more than 20 big Euromillions winners this year?
What? 20?
Yeah, and that's just in Ireland.
Whoa, wait, how big is big?
At least €500,000.
Whoa! Oh, is that another dream?
Yeah, snorkeling in Fiji. Hey, Declan,
Yeah?
don't forget your ticket.
The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun. Euromillions and Euromillions Plus wins between January and September 2022.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, it's another Tuesday morning. This one, the 20th of September 2022. It's just approaching 4 minutes past 9. You're very welcome along to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Coming up after 10, we've got the very latest information and appeals from Gorda for you first here on the 9 till noon show, coming up around about 10:15. And that and so much more besides. If there's a topic or a conversation you want to be having with us, get in touch right now. 086 60 25,000. Your WhatsApps and text to that number, or call us to on 07491 25,000 if you prefer to watch the programme, or maybe perhaps there's someone in your house hard of hearing, and they want to be able to follow the subtitles, which is quite useful to quite a number of people. They're not perfect because they're Facebook generated, but they're pretty good. You can watch the programme on our Facebook pages, Highland Radio News and Sport, and my own page there. We're also on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, and also watch us just on our website. You'll see the Watch Live link. Good morning to Michael and Mel, who have already joined us on our socials. A very good morning to both of you. Right. Let's look at the newspapers because we have a lot to be getting on with. No place on field for this. GEA manager Gail Fannah GEA club were due to meet last night to discuss their options after an incident in their Michael Murphy Intermediate Championship semi-final clash with Neve Columba at McCool Park Ballybofey on Sunday evening. The Fannah club are very unhappy with an alleged verbal incident which took place during the first half of the game and led to one of their players being very distressed in the dressing room at half-time. Then at the end of the game, there was a confrontation between the Gael Fannah player and a Neve Columba player. Neve Columba were winners on a 4-11 to 2-9 scoreline, so I'm not really quite sure what's going on. I haven't been told, but I'm sure those in the know. On to the Derry Journal now, and Defective Blocks campaigner Paddy Diver has called for a maintenance team to be put in place to help effective homeowners after a collapsed wall highlighted the danger. The wall outside the home of Ellen Doherty from Ludden, which is built with the same blocks as her house, recently fell down. Ellen has told how she can't sleep due to the worry that the chimney of her home will also collapse. Ellen can't light a fire in her house, which is also badly affected by black mould. And we were chatting to Ellen on the programme yesterday, of course, and she's had a terrible couple of years. She lost her husband in 2019. She was very sick herself with COVID last year. She finds herself in a situation where feels she's got nowhere to turn. But after we spoke to Ellen yesterday, we were contacted by a number of people that wish to help her in small ways and some in not so small ways. We're going to not chat to Ellen on air unless she wants to, but speak to Ellen off air and to find out has there been any progress in that regard, because I know from those of you that listened live, those that watched back, and also those who saw a clip I posted on social media, very moved by her story. I think we can all agree that no one should have to live their life like that. So we're doing everything we can to try and assist in that regard. And I think really a key question about the scheme, the defective block scheme that is in existence now at the moment, is how does someone like Ellen get her house fixed? And until that question's answered, there's no scheme for me, really. I mean, there is a scheme. I'm not trying to be dramatic, don't get me wrong. But if Ellen can't get her house back to the way it was, the way she spent many happy years with her husband in it, as she talked of yesterday, if there's no pathway for her to get her house repaired, well, then the scheme, to me, is a failure. Because if the scheme does not fix her house, well, then, then it leaves someone behind, doesn't it? She has no access to borrowing and no resources to match any shortfall from what I can determine. So, as I say, it's a question I'll be asking someone in the know quite directly. How does Ellen fix her house? And until such time as that question's answered, well then, for me, and I'm not directly affected by it, I don't have a mic at home, but then the scheme doesn't work. If it doesn't work for Ellen, who does it work for? Okay, the Irish Independent. What do you think about these proposals? People who work until they are 70 will receive a weekly state pension of $315 under a radical overhaul of the pension system. Is it radical? The government is introducing 5 new rates of pension payments based on when a person retires, which will see rates rise incrementally by 5% for every year a person remains in work. Those who leave work at 66 will continue to be entitled to the current weekly rate of €253 a week, but anyone who remains in work longer will get a higher payment. Now, maybe this will suit some people. I think some people feel they're pushed out the door at 65 or 66 and they like to continue to work and they'll get rewarded by a higher state pension when they retire. But others feel that this might, the new norm will be working to 70, right? So, people will people who don't have a contributory pension, many of us don't, will probably say, well, the real retirement age now is 70 because I can only live on, it's very important what happens between now and then, I think, in terms of the rates decreasing, increasing, or how they increase, because this could be a way of trying to maybe corral people into working much later in life. But as I say, I don't know the ins and outs of it just yet. What's your initial reaction to it? We understand, or we read, sorry, that the move is aimed at ending the political stalemate over increasing the pension age to 67. The new system will see someone retiring at 67 taking home a weekly state pension of 266, while those stopping work at 68, they'd receive 281. If you remain in work until you are 69, you will be entitled to €297 per week. The highest rate of $315 will be paid to those who retire at the age of 70. And the rates, which will be unveiled today by Social Protection Minister Heather Humphreys, are based on the current pension payments. Now, the only thing is that, you know, if I'm gifted with good health, it might be easy enough for me to sit in a chair like this and waffle. Don't worry, you're not going to have to put up for me that long, I can assure you of that. But you know what I mean? It's easier for me to say, well, maybe I could do this till 70, but there are other people in much more harder work, for instance, like the building trade, for example, which I understand because I worked in it for 3 years myself, who couldn't work till 70. So what's going to be put in place for them to make sure it's fair for everyone? Or perhaps something doesn't need to be put in place. I'm only throwing suggestions out there to see what you, the people, this is a group of people in Dublin who are making decisions for you that will affect you long into the latter stages of your life. So I'm interested in your opinions, as always, of course. Let's go to the Irish Times here. Former President Mary McAleese has called on Pope Francis to remove awful material, in quotes, from a Vatican website set up in 2016, which she said offends all women and the creator who made them. The document, which blames all human ills on women, including the death of Jesus Christ, appears on the website of the Dicastery Department for the Laity, the Family and Life. It appears in English, French and Italian, but not in Spanish or Portuguese translations. Written by Tertullian, one of the early church fathers who died almost 2,000 years ago in AD 230, it addresses women as the devil's gateway. You are the unsealer of that forbidden tree. You are the first deserter of the divine law. You are she who persuaded him whom the devil was not valiant enough to attack. You destroyed so easily God's image, man, on account of your desert. That is death. Even the Son of God had to die. So this is on an official document that effectively describes all women as, let me see, where's that quote? The devil's gateway. All right. So she's asking the Vatican to remove that. It's outdated, isn't it? On to the Daily Mail now. There's been more than 40,000 people waiting. There's been more than 40,000 waiting time breaches in hospitals across the country this year, in which patients were left waiting over 24 hours. A total of 40,398 patients were left waiting over 24 hours for admission to hospital between January and August. It's an increase of 132% on the same period in 2021. The HSE report presented yesterday to the Emergency Department Task Force said the average daily trolley count during this period was 316. Yesterday, 485 admitted patients were waiting for beds, according to the INMO Trolley Watch, including 395 waiting in the emergency department, while 90 were in wards elsewhere. And we know locally in the Northwest, our hospitals contributing quite significantly to those figures. But it doesn't make sense, because if you look at some statistics that are circulating on the internet, and I just perhaps can't pull them up instantaneously here, but there's been a huge reduction in beds in hospitals. And what's that going to lead to? It's going to lead to, of course, more overcrowding in hospitals. So let me have a look at these figures here. The number of hospital beds in Ireland from 2000 to 2020. So in 2000, there were 22,658 hospital beds. Okay, so 22,658. So you'd imagine things have improved since then, wouldn't you? Well, in 2019, there were 14,412 hospital beds. So that's a decrease of about a third. So where have these beds gone? Now, we know staff equals beds. But in 2000, 22,658 beds. Now, in 2019, well, not now, the most recent figures, 14,412 beds. So we can't be surprised then, can we, that overcrowding is as bad as it's ever been, that we have people waiting over 24 hours, that, you know, people over 70 are facing the indignity. We've talked about it on this show, trying to highlight it, trying to affect some change where one can. But if you reduce the beds from 22,500 in 2000 to 14,500 in 2019, the most recent figures, well, I mean, it doesn't take a brain surgeon if they're particularly clever. It doesn't take a brain surgeon or a scientist to work out that something's got to give there. Where have all these beds gone? Have you got an insight? 086 60 25,000. And of course, as I say, staff equals beds. But we're told there's, loads of people now working in the HSE, but they're not obviously servicing these beds. What does it take? Four hospital staff to keep a bed open? There's some equation like that. I'm not quite sure what it is off the top of my head. But anyway, we've dropped a third of our beds. I think that's about a third. It is maybe more than a third of our beds in 19, 20 years. Of course, we're going to have problems. There's also problems in terms of homelessness. The Irish Daily Mirror. Homelessness in Ireland may be even worse than official figures suggest, experts have warned. Now, we hear this all the time because there's a lot of people that are homeless but aren't counted as homeless, particularly in areas like Donegal, people couch surfing, rough sleepers that aren't actually counted. So we know this already. They say it's being defined in a relatively narrow way that fails to respond to the true nature of the problem. The report found that homelessness definitions focus on people sleeping rough and the number and duration of stays in emergency accommodation. However, a group of international researchers claims Ireland's definition was neglecting hidden homelessness and not fully recognising and not fully responding to the true nature of the issue. The expert said that the most effective integrated strategies, including practice in Scotland and Finland, use a wide definition of homelessness. They said this facilitates a more comprehensive army of prevention, rapid rehousing and housing-led approaches. It would be interesting if there were another hotel available in Donegal because, I have to be careful how I word this. I think people see how we're reacting to the refugee crisis and think this. But what would be interesting is if there were a hotel available that was available to sort of service homelessness from people that have been living here for a long time. So and see how many people would take up the offer of that type of accommodation. Now it would be centralised. Maybe it's not realistic in that regard. But I wonder, that approach, the approach that's being used to deal with the refugees crisis as people flee, Ukraine, actually, would that be an acceptable or realistic short-term fix to homelessness in this country? Do you know what I mean? Those who've been homeless for quite some time or have lived here for quite some time. Has that approach ever been adopted? Some might say maybe with the shelters that they have, that's what they're doing. I don't know. Anyway, on to the Irish Daily Star. Drinkers are turning their backs on pubs in droves, with almost half staying away from bars because of the cost of the living crisis. So, were you a regular social drinker? Have you cut back? Let me know. In terms of restaurants, did you have a routine in your family, whereby you went out once a week, and, maybe paid the babysitter, went out for a few drinks, maybe something to eat, or maybe you got something to eat on the way home? Did you do it once a week, twice a week? Have you changed your habits in that regard? Speaking to people in business, that's what really worries them. There is obviously great concern about the cost of electricity and all this type of stuff, but they don't necessarily, my understanding is, and anyone in business, please correct me if I'm wrong, they don't want necessarily money just to stay open with no customers. That sort of a way, like sort of the COVID interventions. They want it to be, as I say, this is only from those I've been speaking to, they want a situation whereby people continue to go out, that people still socialise and spend money, that the place is staying open because it's busy. So that means maybe putting more money, not diverting it from businesses, but putting more money in people's pockets to make a meaningful intervention, not just to allow people to keep the heat on, but to allow them some sort of a social life as well. So 2 questions. If you're in business, would that be your focus? What would you like to see the government to do? I presume you just don't want the bills paid. You want a busy bar and restaurant or whatever other type of business that you have. So do you think maybe more focus should be on putting money in people's pockets? Or have you changed your socialising habits? Were you more inclined to go out than you are now? Have you found yourself saying, you know what, we'll stay and we'll get a bottle of wine and a takeaway or something instead? Because obviously that has an impact, because maybe you're not getting a babysitter and then maybe they don't have the money to spend it on other things. Just to get an insight into how we are changing our lives. That being said, right, I saw in Temple Bar, for example, in other places, €8.20 for a pint. Now, but any business, and you can talk to me about, but the rates and this, that and the other, but any business charging €8.20 for a pint, really, would you want much money coming from the taxpayer going to support them? I mean, that's not a business model that is sustainable. €3-4 for bottled water, ripping people off. I don't know what cost Temple Bar places and other places, what extra cost they have to justify that. But if you come to Ireland and the first thing you do is go to Temple Bar for a pint and it's $8.20, you're not going to head to the Northwest where you can get a pint still for under £5, are you? Where there is still value. I think sometimes when we talk about this industry, and we're going to talk, I think, to someone from the Vintners Federation, that we need to break it down into regions, because you go into Dublin, they will absolutely fleece you. Now, some places in Dublin may not, but anyway, up to 4 in 10 adults plan to stay away from the pub, which means some businesses face extinction, it's claimed. The warning was issued yesterday by the Vintners Federation of Ireland, which fears that the 40% stay away figure and the crippling energy crisis will squeeze out pubs. Again, I don't know what the margins are like in pubs, but what are the pubs doing to meet the customer? Prices are going like that. And that being said, again, I am differentiating between, I think, the local offering, which is pretty decent, where you can go out and have something to eat and drink, and obviously you can't maybe have a 3-course meal, but if you're lucky enough to have some resources left over, it's possible. In Dublin, it wouldn't be $8.20 for a pint. I mean, you could never justify that. I couldn't anyway. And The Sun, finally, US President Joe Biden has insisted the pandemic is over in a TV interview that took his advisors by surprise. While admitting his country still had COVID issues, in a chat on US show 60 Minutes, he said the world has moved on. He said, we still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it, but the pandemic is over. Now, they had to come out, the officials had to come out and say that that's not the official policy. This was quite an interesting interview because he said that about COVID, and they had to come out and sort of contradict him on that. And he also said that the US would actually go to bat for Taiwan if China were to invade them, which is completely against US policy. They kind of have this, they have not neutral, but they have a particular stance, a diplomatic stance really, which does not go as far as to say they would defend Taiwan, but he said they would, and that's 2 items in that interview that his own staff have had to come out and say, well, that's not really quite what the situation is. That might be what he feels, but it's, official US policy is somewhat different. Okay, so there you go. 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts to that number. Give us a call on 07491 25,000. We play exclusively Irish music on this show now. We've been doing so for a couple of weeks. So if you have an Irish act or an act from Ireland that you want to hear, we're building a list. Get in touch with us, 086 60 25,000, for your suggestions. And you can drop in a request or dedication too for that item, which we try and do about 10:30, but sometimes we run over or run behind. But anyway, stay right where you are. We'll be back with much more on the 9 till noon show after we take this break.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
Tourism businesses have a brand new mark of employer excellence. Driven by the employee's voice, the Employer Excellence Programme recognises employers who consistently create better workplaces for their employees. Attract and retain top talent. Shine the spotlight on your business. The Employer Excellence Programme. Learn more at falterireland.ie.
Fleet owners, Cargo Defenders is your one-stop supplier for all your vehicle technology, including GPS vehicle tracking, remote tachograph downloading solutions, dash cams or 4G multi-camera systems. For more information, call Cargo Defenders on 074 9710 110 or visit cargodefenders.ie.
Enjoy a great value breakfast any day until 2 at Kelly's Diner, Letterkenny. Every Saturday at Kelly's, it's Steak Madness with a succulent 8-ounce steak and all the trimmings for just €12. On Fridays, from 3, all deluxe burgers with chips and a soft drink are only $15.95. For endless choice and value, pull into Kelly's Diner at Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Since she got her free hearing aids with her PRSI at Specsavers, Roisin is a changed woman. Music has never sounded better, and that makes her dance. And dance. And dance. Her singing, though, well...
sure it's all right.
Free hearing aids with PRSI at Specsavers. Music to your ears. Find out more online. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. Onto it, we welcome Stephen Moffat, who's Bernardo's National Policy Manager. Stephen, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you for joining us on this important issue. Right, okay, we've learned that children who struggled with homeschooling are now less likely to engage in the classroom. Can you tell us how we're finding this out and what else we're learning?
Well, from across our services, what we would have seen was when schools came back to regular normality last year, that some children who had maybe struggled, as you pointed out, homeschooling, would have spent very little time engaged in education. Could have struggled to adapt, getting back to routines. There was a lot more across our services. Certainly, we saw a lot more school refusals, children just, not wanting to go back because of the routines, the rules, or just because of anxiety. And as a result of that, it took them months, a lot of children, months and months to get back into the swing of things, so to speak. And we found that out across our services and different organisations. But I think schools themselves would have said that, and teachers have found out just firsthand that the struggle of some of the students who would never have had difficulties in the past, just struggling to re-engage.
Yeah, because I mean, the conversation at the time, and one of the arguments for trying to get young ones back to school was that, I mean, there's different reasons. Broadband was one, access to equipment was another, but also that some students wouldn't do very well engaging like that, in busy households or for whatever reason. So this kind of feels like this is the chickens coming home to roost, that this is sort of the fallout from all of that. Did we do, or should we have, do you think, sort of assessed how children fared during the homeschooling period and maybe had a more targeted approach on their return to try and make sure that everyone was brought up back as much as is possible to the same position?
So I think it would have been a struggle for the government to be able to really analyse how well children were doing during the period of homeschooling, just because of everything else that was going on and all the other difficulties. Now, what they should have done, and what we would want to see what the government has done in the Department of Education, was to take a measure when children came back to school to see what proportion of children were struggling across different areas better, whether it's academically around numeracy and literacy, or whether it's socially and emotionally around anxiety and other mental health sort of issues, and taking a baseline of that and made comparisons to pre-COVID. And then they would have been able to be in a position to say, okay, any sort of additional supports that we put in place, are they getting children back to where they were prior to COVID? And that's really what we would want the government to be doing.
Just speaking to a few different parents, and we'll come back to this core subject to which we invited you on. Also, to speaking to some parents, their children have found it difficult to process, say, for instance, new Ukrainian children coming into school, the language difficulties, having to try and process and understand why dangerous in another country, bombs, explosions and death means that all of a sudden there's new students in the classroom. Do we know if anything's been done to try and assist in that regard? I know teachers individually will try their best, but this is I think this is a particular challenge that would require a targeted, thought out, researched approach.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think first and foremost was I think the government has done some quality work to try and get information out to teachers and training out to teachers initially in terms of integrating Ukrainian students, which obviously needs to be the priority, given the fact that over time, some of the Ukrainian students might be experiencing trauma themselves. But in terms of that bigger picture, there's 50,000 additional Ukrainians across the country at the moment, and a large proportion of those will be young children who are going to school. And yeah, more and more programs, more resources out to teachers to make sure that the children who were in school previous to the Ukrainians coming in have an understanding of why that is the case. And it is dealing with delicate, sensitive matters. But there is best practice out there. For example, Bernardo's ourselves, we put out information to share across with parents. And it's about engaging with sort of experts and how to educate children on those complex issues, because it's not easy for teachers to run through them, but it's also not easy for children to immediately pick up on. exactly what is going on out there.
So in terms of the children that are struggling now to engage in the classroom, do they contact Barnardo's? Are you getting the calls from parents and guardians? And how is it presenting them? What's the sort of typical conversation that you're hearing?
So some children absolutely who would be struggling, and there might be additional issues within the home and that might be causing some of the issues with re-engaging, absolutely getting in touch with our services across the country, and us trying to provide the support to parents to help build up routines that'll help children re-engage. But in other circumstances, it's about coming up with plans between teachers and parents, and obviously including the child as much as possible in those plans about, right, what are the first steps that need to be taken to get children just back into schools, back not struggling to adjust quite so much, but what are the biggest barriers? And that's got to come from children's voices themselves, and then looking to accommodate that child. So it's not, right, the child, the pupil, you need to follow our rules to the absolute letter of the law. You've got to come in, do X, Y, and Z according to us. It's about working with the child and taking into consideration their circumstances and their experiences.
All right, Stephen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it greatly. Take care. That's Stephen Moffat, who is Barnardo's National Policy Manager, 086 60 25,000. Right, I want to catch up on some comments, and there was comments that came in towards the end of last week on topics that a lot of you engaged in on. So I'm going to try and get through some of those as well. But there's a mixture here. A caller says the majority of people in this country wouldn't accept the flying of the flag at half-mast. They wouldn't do the same for us. So why should we? This is continued fallout from the request by Micheál Martin for flags, Irish flags, to be flown at half-mast yesterday. The Independent on Friday had the Saturday programme for the TV was in the Friday paper. I've been buying it for 70 years. Okay, that's completely separate. Public sector staff have to lower the national flag on their buildings on Monday. Well, excuse me. Many of us feel intimidated by this request, given the negative impact of colonialism. Another, I was recently at Mass in the Gaeltacht. As expected, the entire homily was delivered in Irish by the priest, except for the words honesty and morally right, which he said in English. Apparently, there are no Irish equivalents for such words. Is that correct? I will ask someone. Fianna Fáil, the Republican Party, tell us to fly the Union Jack yesterday. Yes, folks, that's the free state we live in today. Roll on the election. Was there any request or diktat for the Union Jack to be flown? I'm not sure about that. Greg, could you tell us if any other non-UK countries are flying their flag at half-mast, or did they? I don't know the answer to that question. It would be an interesting one. I think particularly maybe look towards the French to see what their approach was. Good morning. Is it not right if passage for the younger generation to move away for a spell? Sorry, is it not a rite of passage? I'm in Scotland and I have two children in that age bracket, and one of them definitely would be in that bracket. Thanks, Anne-Marie. I think, Anne-Marie, you're correct that there will always be a proportion of younger people that will emigrate or have that ambition. And in fact, a lot of parents will encourage it because they've done it themselves. There's a need and a want, though. If you want to do that, that's fantastic. But what the problem is that there's a lot of young people as well that don't want to emigrate. They want to be close to their families. They want to pursue their careers. They want what's best for them, but they don't feel they can achieve it here. And they are forced to emigrate. So those that, I've got one who just can't wait to travel. And others that would be very upset if they felt that they had to. It's working out cheaper for me to run a generator on green diesel than buying power off the grid. Yeah, I noticed some people getting quite clever now and sticking the ads up for generators. It's the right time, I suppose, as people look at the potential for power outages, though we're told it's unlikely now. A caller says it's a very sad day when a pensioner is living in fear of her house coming down on top of her while our government are busy flying flags at half-mast for a queen belonging to a foreign country. Also, while there are Irish citizens in this lady's position, we have other nationalities being put up in hotels and being kept safe. We should have the utmost respect for these people and all they've been through, but charity begins at home and our own child are being neglected. I exactly get where you're coming from. I don't think Ellen, or maybe it'd be an interesting question, I don't think Ellen would be interested in living out her days in a hotel. Ellen has a house which she and her husband built through hard work and graft. And they trusted the system to make sure that everything about that building was regulated and was safe. It's now falling to bits around her, and the state has a scheme which she needs to be able to access to rebuild that home. I don't think putting Ellen in a hotel room really is a solution. Why can't someone invent a small bin that you can crush the rubbish and transfer it to bigger bins? Then people might be able to afford the tickets then. It fills up too quick. Well, some people climb in the bin and jump up and down on it. The problem there is, as you see, your bin's collected by weight a lot of the time, and you compact rubbish into a bin, it gets very heavy very, very quick. So even if there were some sort of a rubbish crusher, I think once the bin people came to try and drag it out of your yard, and the thing would weigh a ton, which it would if you were compacting the waste down, I don't think that would work. Greg, I had the TV on record. They text me from work. When I get home from work, I'm going to sit back and watch the funeral. Queen Elizabeth was a beautiful lady, they say. Did you enjoy it? I hope you set it to record for a long time, because it went on for a long time yesterday, seemingly. Greg, everybody's mother is their queen, so the Irish flag should always be flown at half-mast. Okay. A caller says she completely disagreed with flying the flag at half-mast for the Queen. It's totally disrespectful to all of those who fought to free Ireland from British rule, and to those who were mercilessly killed so that we could enjoy that freedom today. The Irish government today have no backbone. Another caller says, as a vegan, she is disgusted at the fact that it was the Queen that brought back fox hunting for sport and the inhumane activities that go with it. Yet, we are celebrating her. Is it that the British people are unaware of this fact, or are they choosing to ignore it? I don't know. Hi, can you ask your listeners, has anyone got their electricity bill from Electric Ireland after being taken over from Iberdrola, and realised later that they didn't take your direct debit details as well? No telephone call to state this either. Your direct debit is part of your details when setting up, and I realise that it's a different company, but they should make contact or inform you that they need a new one. Well, there is, and it's designed to help you, and Panda Energy customers are going through this at the moment. There is a system in place where you have a guarantee of service. Can't remember exactly what the terminology is, but if you're a Panda customer and you do nothing, you can't be cut from the power grid, which would happen if the company, and a company's not going to ring. So there's an automatic company that you switch if a company exits the market, okay? So all your information is automatically transferred to them. It's to make sure that you have a continuance of power. To call everybody up, 300,000 people, and then to try and get them over, I don't think that's realistic. I think this automated way is the only way, but people can still intervene in that process. What are the rules around dogs on the beaches, in particular Ballyholey Beach? Are dog owners allowed to have their dogs on beaches off the lead? Caller observed a large number of dogs running free. They're supposed to be under control in that environment at all times. Greg, sorry, can you let Greg know? I feel as a teacher and as a parent that we really need to legislate the use of vaping products ASAP. The wide array of fruity flavours are enticing teens to vape. They are highly visible in stores, and teenagers are using them as a substitute for smoking. They are unaware of the dangers, which are as bad, if not worse, than smoking. Many of the tobacco companies have switched to vapes. They don't mind who uses them, so long as their companies are profitable. Well, I was out at the weekend, and I generally don't watch what other people do, and live and let live, and what people do is their own business. But there were three next to me, sitting next to me where I was, and they couldn't have been 12 or 13 years of age. And I don't know if you ever see those old coal stacks, from a factory where there's like the stacks come up and there's smoke coming out of them. Well, there was three of them sitting there, and it was like being at a disco. The amount they were constantly vaping, constantly ingesting nicotine. Now, people who've smoked and have gone off smoked and started vaping, I'm not endorsing it or whatever or saying anything about that, right? But you would most people who successfully go off smoking vaping, I think vape like they smoke. In other words, you go through a period of vaping, then you don't, and then you go back to it. But young ones with the vapes, I don't know if they've ever smoked or not, but listen, it's inevitable they probably will. It's like, they're like chimneys. They are just constantly producing smoke. And these three were under 15. There's just absolutely no doubt about it. And I think parents and teachers and other caregivers are starting to feel a little bit desperate now that the government is not helping. And I've a lot of messages in here on vaping, which which you sent in and I want to read out to you. But we have to take a quick break because we're going to move to our next guest and then we'll come back to those comments.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Clear Mobile has 99% 4G population coverage. So where are people going?
Out west with 4 bars and all. Dublin, outside of Dublin.
Longford, Waterford, all the Fords.
There you go. Choose great coverage with unlimited calls, texts and data for $12.99 a month for a limited time. Clearmobile.ie. You clear? They are. 30-day contract. Activation fee and fair usage applies. Max data speed 5 megabits per second. $12.99 subject to eligibility. Offer ends 30th of September 2022. See clearmobile.ie for terms.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Green Shoes in Letterkenny and Fulcara have shoes for every occasion. All your favourite brands, from Una Healy, Tommy Bow and Echo, to Kate Appleby, Marcosi and Skechers, plus many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards are gratefully accepted in store. Green Shoes in Letterkenny at Market Square and Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, with the perfect fit for every foot.
Are you in a low income and worried about an essential expense or bill that you can't afford? The Department of Social Protection is here to help. The additional needs payment is available to support you with important expenses, such as utility bills or other essential household or personal costs. It's available to anyone on a low income who qualifies, no matter how many hours you work or if you're already on a social welfare payment. This support is provided by the Department's Community Welfare Service. To find out more, visit gov.ie/ANP or call 0818 60 70 80. A Government of Ireland initiative.
Now, on the programme, we welcome Pat Byrne, EPA Programme Manager. Pat, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to your listeners.
It's good to have you with us. The headline on our news, and I presume news across the country, is around 1,300 people die prematurely here each year because of poor air quality. It's a shocking figure, but the penny doesn't seem to drop on it. Why do you think that is, Pat?
Yeah, I suppose it has been a figure that's been calculated for the last number of years, Greg, and it's been fairly constant. And I suppose that's an indication the air quality hasn't improved significantly. And I suppose, you know, we've had COVID, and that's had impacts in terms of nitrogen dioxide, which is more your traffic, your car related, and that's more in your larger cities, and that did drop significantly during the period of COVID in 2020 and 2021. I suppose the other parameter that we're largely looking at, and that is actually the main cause of that 1,300 premature deaths, is particulate matter, and that largely arises from the burning of solid fuels. Now, absolutely, look, people do need to use solid fuels, and it is a source of heat for a lot of homes and households. But what we're indicating is that, we need to make that move to as clean as possible of solid fuels if we are using them. And obviously, there are benefits then to moving towards oil, gas. Obviously, for newer homes, heat pumps and such are absolutely the best scenario. But it is a big ask. It's a challenge, and therefore we're just calling for anyone who can make a step along that. And as I say, if it is solid fuel that you have to use, that you try to move to the cleaner versions of that, and that would be, wood that's as dry as possible. Lower smoke coals, and they are the very initial steps that people can make. And I suppose what I'd like to say, because, well, Greg, I suppose it is very much actually a health-based impact. As you say, it's 1,300 premature deaths. So the actual impact of making an improvement is for the benefit of the local community, your neighbours, basically, and yourself.
And it's been stated by management at Letterkenny University Hospital, for example, that they have a seemingly, at times, particularly high level of people presenting with respiratory issues. I'm not saying this is as a direct result of what we're talking about now, but we can't ignore a connection there either.
No, and I suppose, look, they are making that connection. We also have, we link in with the HSE, and they have actually done they've looked at, and they've had people doing some research in Dublin as well, and they can link it to, at times when air quality disimproves, if that's the right way of looking at it, that they actually get higher admissions for asthma, for respiratory illnesses, and they're, in some ways, it's probably good to show that. It tries to maybe kind of help convince people that there is a direct impact. It may not help impact someone who's healthy, but those that maybe have some underlying respiratory issues or asthma are the ones that are likely to be more impacted by the air quality if it actually disimproves.
Yeah, when we talk about, say, for instance, let's choose the county's biggest town, Letterkenny, because the air quality has been monitored there for a long time. When we talk about poor air quality in Letterkenny, we can tell the difference, can't we, between what's contributing to it, i.e., vehicular traffic versus, particles from burning the likes of wet wood, dirty coal. What do those? Do you have the figures there, or if you looked at them, and what does it tell us?
Yeah, so I suppose you're right. We have established a monitoring station in Letterkenny in association with the local authority, and it's been in place there since 2019. And the parameters we're looking at there are sulphur dioxide, particulate matter at two different concentrations, but that's going into the detail. So really, I suppose it's part of a network across the country. So what we're seeing in Letterkenny is not significantly different to what we're seeing in other towns and villages, where it is actually high levels of particulate matter appear in our monitoring. On days when it's cold, it's calm, you get that the actual pollutants remain within the area.
All right, Pat, I seem to have lost Pat. Oh, I have you back here. Pat, can you hear me okay?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's awful.
I can, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no,
sorry, Greg.
But yes, you see, like, we can do our bit, but just a couple of scenarios here for you. Say, for instance, in a town like Letterkenny, it's always what we can do. Do you know what I mean? The public, and that's proper order as well. But like, say for instance, roadworks. Okay, is there any thought ever given to that, or should it be? Like, we would have, say for instance, in Letterkenny, roadworks in a number of areas, which means for long periods of the day, traffic is at a standstill, cars mostly running. Should we be looking at that and taking into consideration the movement of air, or in terms of enforcement of people burning dirty coal or wet wood or whatever it might be? What level of enforcement is there? Because there might be people who themselves have respiratory illness, have a better understanding and stick to the rules. Like, it just feels like it's all on us, and I just wonder, are the powers that be taking this seriously? Like, I would, if it's that bad, you would think that maybe in terms of traffic planning, some consideration would be given to that. On a very calm day, when it's cold, when fires are probably going to be lit, is it advisable to have a series of I know this sounds like a pipe dream that probably not achievable, but I'm just, it always comes to us, yet I think maybe some other thought could be put into it by those who make decisions.
Yeah, and I suppose maybe, Greg, I completely get what you're saying, but I suppose maybe if we somewhat separate the emissions, I suppose, from traffic and from, say, solid fuel burning, they generate different pollutants. So the traffic generates nitrogen dioxide, so that's actually one parameter. And again, we're really only seeing that being very elevated right in the centre of our larger cities. So it's not as big an issue in the more rural locations. Not saying that any level of pollution isn't, you want to try and minimise it, but it is more in the more dense populated areas. The emissions from solid fuel burning are probably of more significance to the towns and villages where you actually have a number of people on those colder nights lighting fires and then the accumulation of it. And I suppose, measures to actually try and, improve home heating systems, whether that be, as I say, moving away from an open fire to a stove, moving to oil, moving to gas. They're all steps. Any one of those steps taken by anyone makes an improvement.
Make a difference, okay.
And I suppose maybe actually just getting back to your point in terms of enforcement, the local authorities, and we've called for this, and they are actually improving the amount of enforcement they're doing in terms of solid fuel regulations and checking of that. Probably more focused on actually the retail outlets than actually on the individual
Well, you see, that in and of itself is the problem, because you only have to travel outside a town boundary or nip across the border. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and absolutely, and there have been reports of that, and I think TV reports in relation to the movement across the border and that, and I think there are proposals to bring in a national fuel regulation, fuel standard, and again that would actually, I suppose, address maybe moving just outside town. Again, a bigger aspect is actually across the border, where obviously there may be different regulations, different standards either side of the border.
Okay,
again,
so where we're at then is we're meeting EU targets. We're not quite meeting the WHO targets, and we need to do more. We need to maybe start taking some individual responsibility rather than expecting Big Brother to sort it out. Is that?
There's an element of that, and I think it's really just that we all can make an improvement as well, Greg, that we're not, any small step, if everyone can make a step, some will go all the way to heat pumps, which absolutely cost that much more and doesn't suit every home. Others can actually move from a dirtier fuel to a cleaner fuel. So any of those steps can definitely make an improvement. And it is local, and it is actually your local area that the improvement actually arises.
All right, thanks, Pat. I appreciate it. Pat Byrne, EPA Programme Manager. Right, back with more comments after these.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Breedon's Furniture, Cooley-Maville. With over 40 years of experience in furniture and floor coverings, they've got Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining, flooring, slide robes and occasional furniture. Great prices and large selection now available at Breedon's Home Furnitures, Cooley-Maville.
To get that job done, call Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny. Generators, portaloos and lighting towers. Also diggers, dumpers, rollers and much, much more. With short-term, long-term and weekend special rates available. Call Gortley Sales and Hire on 9126276.
With a smart meter, you can take full control of your home's electricity usage. But here's the important bit. Only if you sign up to an Electric Ireland smart meter plan. Our personalised usage insights will help you make the most of your electricity. So if you'd like to find out the perfect time to put on a wash or see how your bill's looking on any day of the month, search Electric Ireland Smart Meter Plans and find out the best plan for your home. Smart meter required. T's and C's apply.
The new TFI Young Adult Leap Card is for 19 to 23-year-olds, offering a 50% discount on Transport for Ireland fares, and now also includes many commercial bus operators too. Students who are in full-time education and are over 23 can also avail of these savings with a TFI Student Leap Card. So save 50% on fares with a Young Adult or Student Leap Card across the Transport for Ireland network and participating commercial bus operators. See leapcard.ie for details and to order yours today.
Enjoy Culture Night in Donegal on Friday, September 23rd. See the full programme of free exhibitions, workshops, performance events, outdoor spectacle, tours, trails and more for all the family. Now on culturenite.ie/Donegal. Presented and funded by Donegal County Council and the Arts Council.
Okay, a quick word now on a couple of events that are coming up in the east and north of the county. Cahirlock of the Strawnler and Ballybofey district. Councillor Patrick McGowan joins me now. Good morning, Patrick. How are you keeping? Right, I can't hear you because I haven't put the fader up. I can hear you now. Right, okay. So talk to me about this meeting that's taking place tonight at Keys Hotel, 7:30. Local authorities seeking land for social housing and economic development in the Ballybofey and Stroller areas. Is this they want landowners to come forward and have a chat with them, or is this about rezoning land and then they go out and acquire it? Or what stage of the process are we at?
Yeah, both them, and they also want the general public to come on and have a say as to where they think economic land should be and where housing land should be. Obviously, we're guided by the national and regional guidelines, but there's always some flexibility, particularly in Ballybofey and Stroller. You have national primary roads going through it. You have a large river there, so you have flooding issues, sea frames and that, so it makes it quite difficult just to put everything in the centre. Plus, you have already established development there. So obviously, you have to try and work as near the town centre, and also as well, as you know, the bypass and Ballybofey and Stroller has moved from one side of the town to the opposite side. So that is going to affect the existing town plan. So
we have a final route on that, don't we? We know exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So it has to be in that context then too. You have to look at it, what spaces between the bypass and the town, maybe development on the sort of the west side of the bypass, or whether maybe towards the east of the town. All of that has to be factored in, I presume.
Yeah, and we're looking to develop a ring road, a link road round the opposite side of the town as well. And as I say, because the old bypass has been deselected now, it's opening up lands, and that there is a big problem all over the county getting land. The other problem is we're zoning land. A lot of landowners are then sitting on it. They're not making it available for development, and you should only be zoning land where you know the landowner is willing to make it available within the period of that plan. So really, they should only zone that land that they know, well, it's economic development and or housing. And as we all know, there's a massive crisis for houses, and it takes about 3 years from the time you start to get houses up. So it's a good time, but we're actually behind at this stage, and we need to get a lot more suitable land, service land, preferably.
What if we're at a point though whereby people with land want to keep it, or they want to sit on it, and you know, I mean, at what point and do we reach a point whereby you have to look at the bigger picture and say, well, if you don't want to make this land available to us, maybe we're going to have to look at CPOs. I hate CPOs, don't get me wrong, but if no one turns up because no one wants to give sell their land, what do you do next?
Well, to answer your question, now's the point. The point is now, and we're here at that point now. We don't have the CPO. We just delist it and zone the land beside it. You can't be going out hundreds of meters or a kilometre out the road. If there's land suitable beside that land, the land is not available, you de-zone that and you zone the land beside it. And that's what we need to do now, not to wait on the goodwill of anybody.
Right, okay.
It's too important. It's in the public good. It's absolutely necessary to get public and private land, and we need to do, and that starts tonight. So anybody has any feelings either way, whether you're professionals, builders, landowners, or the general public that has family growing up wondering where they're going to live, they need to come tonight. And that's it's run by Donegal County Council.
And business people too will want to see how the town will take shape going forward, especially in the context of a bypass if it ever happens. Okay, listen, thanks for that. Short but sweet. I appreciate your time this morning. And a similar meeting along the same lines is taking place for the Buncrana area tomorrow night in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel at 7:30 p.m. The council is seeking the public views on the development plan for the county, particularly in those areas, is the focus of those two meetings. All right, back after the news with the Community Garda information item.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till Noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
McDade's Bathroom, Plumbing and Tiles, serving the Northwest for over 40 years. Explore our showroom with more than 40 displays. Choose from an array of shower doors, shower trays, baths and bathroom accessories. Speak with an expert about tile selection and wall paneling. We also stock an array of plumbing, heating and stove spare parts, as well as a great selection of kitchen mixers and radiators at our trade counter. Our stove department is also available for you to choose a style that suits your needs and complements your home. McDade's Bathroom, Plumbing, Tiles, Clonkrana. We're here for you.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
The future of public transport is bright, with the Transport for Ireland network growing and improving throughout the country. Increased demand for bus travel has led to many exciting new professional bus driver vacancies across a wide range of bus companies. Driving a bus for a living can offer long-term job stability and contributes towards a greener, more sustainable community. It's time to explore a role in bus driving that moves you and others. Visit transportforireland.ie to find out more.
If you need something stored, Secure Storage in Letterkenny have over 120 internal units available. Maybe it's extra space for personal belongings or storage for your business. Secure Storage have everything from small wardrobe-sized lockers to garden shed-sized rooms, right up to garage-sized units and large commercial storage depots, all available to rent on a short or long-term basis. Whatever you need stored, big or small, Secure Storage at Kiltoy, Letterkenny have the solution. See securestorage.lk.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The fire service and Gardaí are currently dealing with an ongoing incident off the Kilmacrennan Road in Letterkenny. A number of fire appliances are at the scene. Motorists are advised of traffic delays in the area. A meeting yesterday to discuss the MICA redress scheme and the delivery of social housing in Donegal has been described as constructive. Minister Charlie McConlogue says much talk revolved around how to progress applications from affected homeowners in order to repair homes. A meeting is due to take place between Donegal County Council and the Department of Housing in the near future to ensure outstanding applications receive clarity and decisions. Minister McConlogue acknowledged the sense of urgency on the matter.
The key thing really is ensuring that between the council and the housing that there is agreement that we actually can find a way to ensure that there is decisions on outstanding applications, and particularly those so that we can ensure that the worst are done first, and that for many who are waiting on answers, that as many as possible of them can actually move forward. And that's really important that happens now, and I'll certainly be liaising following on from our meeting with the Minister for Housing to make sure that meeting happens and to make sure a pathway forward is found very, very quickly.
A member of the Pension Commission says the Minister for Social Protection's plans for higher payments are a bad idea. Under the scheme, which is set to be unveiled today, those who work until the age of 70 will benefit from a higher state pension of €315 a week. It's aimed at keeping more people in work for longer and ending the political row over retirement age. The Commission recommended raising the pension age to 68, and member John McGreen is not impressed by Heather Humphrey's plans.
The only way we can fund it is through contributions from people who are in work and the employers who employ them. The reality is we would have to charge more to employ people, and that's a bad idea, because what we're trying to do here is keep people working to fund the system.
The Cahirlock of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District will today ask officials to carry out a full inspection of all footpaths in the district. Figures seen by Councillor Donald Kelly show a significant increase in compensation payments for injuries sustained in falls. In a motion to be taken today, Councillor Kelly proposes that the council carry out an inspection on all footpaths within the town boundaries and outlying areas and carry out any necessary repairs and hedge cutting required.
I had a lot of phone calls regarding footpaths with hedges overgrown, and I suppose halfway skin out the footpath where mothers were passing with prams and had briars and bits of bushes sticking out, and also footpaths, they're not in great shape. They need to be verged back and then widened to their full capacity, and also anywhere we have cracks or repairs need to be carried out.
Meanwhile, long called for road improvement works have been carried out at the Ora Leisure Centre in Letterkenny. A new non-slip surface has been installed at the pedestrian crossing. It's after serious safety concerns were raised by local residents about the speed at which motorists travelled along the route. Councillor Donald Kelly has welcomed the works but says more improvements are still needed at the crossing. Donegal County Council says its turnkey acquisition process is continuing throughout the county. In a report to members, officials say this competitive dialogue procurement process will result in a major capital investment in social housing, and initial projects have been completed. Officials are also committing to securing more land for the provision of social housing. Donald Kavanagh has more.
In the report, officials say the turnkey acquisition model is a very effective mechanism, enabling the council to feed into the design of the proposal to ensure the end product is suitable for the needs of social housing tenants. Meanwhile, as well as pursuing turnkey opportunities, Donegal County Council says it's also planning to develop further projects on existing land banks in various locations throughout the county. Preliminary designs are underway for a number of these sites, with officials stressing they're informed by the pertaining approved social housing need at local level. Land negotiations are ongoing to acquire additional lands for housing in areas of need. There is an open advertisement on the council's website for expressions of interest for parcels of land, derelict sites and buildings with the potential to deliver social housing. Officials say a significant response has been received, a number of suitable parcels of land have been identified, and the authority is progressing to conveyance stage on a number of land acquisitions.
Weather now mostly dry today with cloudy periods and some bright spells. There will be just a few patches of rain and drizzle with highest temperatures of 16 to 19 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, September the 20th. The death of Yvonne Scott Cluncha Culdaff has taken place in Majorca, daughter of Magella and the late Andy Scott. Funeral Mass on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock in Boken Church, Culdaff. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers to the Irish Heart Foundation. The death has taken place of John McGonigal, Donegal, Mallinhead, and formerly of Ballyheeney, Mallinhead, reposing at his home in Donegal. Removal from there on Thursday morning at 10:15, going to St Mary's Church, Lagmallan, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Patrick McFadden, Paddy Oney of Meenaniller, Derrybeg, originally from Meenaduff, Bombay. His remains will repose at Rorty's Funeral Home, Derrybeg, this evening from 5 o'clock until 6:45. Removal afterwards to St Mary's Church, Derrybeg, for 7 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Church, Derrybeg, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in Maharagallen Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has occurred of John Joe McElwee, Dergan, Portsalon. John's remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral this afternoon at 1 o'clock in St Columbus Church at Massmount, interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. And the death has occurred of William Gallagher, 1 Willow Park, Letterkenny and Kerrykeel. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Requiem Mass in the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Letterkenny, at 11 o'clock this morning, followed by interment in Milford Cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed on Church of the Irish Martyrs Facebook page. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
At Ulster Bank, we are closing. And from the 8th of October, all customers whose accounts have passed the 6-month closure notice period will no longer be able to use their accounts. For our customers receiving social welfare payments, like pensions, child benefit, carers or disability allowances, make sure your payments remain uninterrupted by switching your account now. Switch online in any branch or call our customer service team on 0818 210 260. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
All right, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning. If you're just joining us, a caller says put the local link out in the evening for going out. Taxis cost too much. I suppose it depends where you're going, but that's a caller's response to maybe the cost of socialising. Another caller says, if someone in the private sector wants to get the kind of pension that a public sector worker gets when they retire and they're not being asked to work to 70 in order to accumulate a fund big enough, we would need €2 or €3 million in the bank. It's not fair that the private sector is being asked to work for longer. We're taxed our whole lives to pay for the public sector. It's ridiculous. Another, I've a neighbour in the building trade for around 30 years. He can no longer work because he needs an operation due to wear and tear. It keeps getting pushed back, keeping him off work for longer. People in heavy-based work will face more difficulty before meeting the 70 mark. And I think, realistically, it's not across the board. There are probably some people out there, 73, 74, grafted for 10, 12 hours a day. But I think a lot of people working in that industry can't go to 70. So I just think there's to be a little nuance here. All Irish children have an advantage to learn Ukrainian from the Ukrainian children. Let's look at the silver lining here. Indeed, of course, and it's not a criticism. My point is that you have to explain to a child why there are new people in the school as to why, or they might be told why, to understand. Because I was a worrier as a child. That's maybe why I sort of think on things like this. I worried about everything. And if I were in school and new people came in and they said there's a big bad man and he's blowing up our country and went to leave, I would have gone home, probably wouldn't have spoken to my parents about it, and I would have sat worrying. And that's the only reason I brought it up, to try and make sure that there aren't other children having to endure, like, for example, what I did and many others do. 500 heads of states at a funeral. Nowhere else would that happen. That's how popular she is. We should be grasping that peace that we fought for. I don't understand, says a caller. Greg, I use only turf that I can afford. I don't have oil or gas, and I won't listen to any dictators telling me what to use for heating my home. Indeed. And it sounds to me, and I'm not in any way judging what you should or shouldn't do, but it sounds to me like someone who does not get breathing difficulties from particles coming from the turf that you burn, which is good for you. And as I say, I don't judge people. People can do what they want. It's up to the people to decide the direction of this of the country. A caller says there was no non-whites in the leading parade at the Queen's funeral. I don't know what that means, if anything, but I did kind of note that myself, I'll be honest with you. Greg, you're 100%. I was out walking yesterday in our local park and seen people sitting on a summer seat from a distance. The column of smoke around them was so great that I thought they had lit something on the ground, until I discovered that two of them were smoking their vape things. So disgusting, the level of smoke. Now, they weren't young man. One was in his 70s, another person in their 30s. Surely they don't need that amount of smoke. Well, you see, in that situation, it's possible that they're outdoors, for starters. There's no question, as far as I'm aware, about passive smoke from vaping. If it were like, I'd be more concerned if it was like 3 12-year-olds. Hi, Greg. I see young ones coming out from national school vaping. They're vaping at an incredibly young age, and they don't seem to really matter if anyone sees them or not. It's not like back in the day where you'd sneak somewhere and have a sneaky ciggy, you know. I'm not in any way trying to glamorize that, but I think people of a generation would know exactly what I'm talking about. It's vaping in plain sight, and there's nicotine in it, and they become addicted to the nicotine. So we have an awful lot of 13, 14, 15-year-olds who are addicted to nicotine. And where else can you get nicotine? Cigarettes. So if your vape runs out and you can't get a vape, right? These young people have a incredible desire for nicotine. It's an addiction. They'll start getting agitated. So what do? You smoke, because that's what also has nicotine. And I think parents need a hand here, because they're everywhere, and they're like sweets, they're fruity and all that kind of stuff. So all Irish children, I've read that one. Those two came in at the same time, okay, with the same message. Greg, would the fact that there's an increase in smoking over the last number of years, we have a large number of new Irish in the country, which would increase the number of smokers in the population? Well, I'm not sure there's a particular issue with people that aren't from Ireland being heavy smokers, so I'm not sure how that might have an impact, unless I'm missing something there. Greg, the nicotine gum and spray is just as bad, over 20 a box for them. Wow. They can get cigarettes and vaping underage as it stands now, so it won't make any difference changing the age. There's underage children selling their vapes to their friends. Vaping is the worst thing ever to come on the market. The young ones think they won't get addicted, and it's not like smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes are expensive to buy versus vaping, which is not. Listen, no one can vape with nicotine and not get addicted. That's just a fact, right? I'm not a doctor, but I'm telling you, no one of whatever age can vape if there's nicotine in the vape and not become addicted to it, because nicotine is one of the most addictive substances out there. I think vaping should be banned inside places. The vape, etc. in bars is wild. I'm not a smoker, but to get people beside you blowing the vape isn't nice. That's just ignorant, isn't it? Hi, Greg. I smoked for 36 years. I like to sing, but wasn't able anymore because I couldn't due to smoking. I stopped the cigarettes 18 months ago. I feel a lot more healthier and fitter, and I can sing without being out of breath. Although I vape, I feel much better than on cigarettes. Well, I'm delighted to hear that you're feeling better. I was talking about a plug where you plug into it and then plug it into the plug, and it tells you how many kilowatts of power it's using. They're available locally. You can get them on the likes of your Amazon or Screwfix. Anywhere else that I don't want to disadvantage any other companies. So if you're selling these plugs that you plug your item into this plug and then you plug it into the wall socket, it tells you the draw of power, how many kilowatts per hour you're using. I've just mentioned 2 places where I know where they're at, but I don't want any of the other brilliant stores out there that sell them to feel that I'm favouring one over the other. So anywhere they're available, let me know and I'll pass the information on. I just feel it gave me a little bit of more control over, rather than sitting there worrying how much is that heater taking in that cold room. I know now. Why is there no mention of restoring full free electricity and telephone allowance for pensioners, which has been cut over the years? No party whatsoever is pursuing this. I have to choose my word carefully because I'm kind of angry that older people, a lot of the conversation, and I was listening to Drive Time on RT. I don't listen to it very often, and the presenter posed a question: why should young people be expected to pay? Why should young people be expected to pay for older people? It was effectively what they were saying. So the argument is that young people now, I find it so cheeky because these young people wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the older people, and those older people happily contributed to their granny and granddad's old age. The question was, and if I was a younger person and I was stupid, I might go, yeah, why should I be paying for older people? Well, these older people are not. They're our parents and our grandparents. So the reason why I don't think we'll ever go back to full electricity and telephone allowance, because if you listen to the national media and if you listen to some of the conversations it's had in the Dáil, older people aren't important, really. Some would even say that for some it seems like they're a burden. I couldn't be any further from my view in relation to that. But if I were an older person, I would start to feel like, well, is this society turning into such a way where it's a problem that I'm living longer? Anyway, we need to change that attitude and start having a bit of respect. Wind farms are meant to bring down the price. It's just destroying our landscape. Scotland and Wales have their all offshore. It's not making a difference in terms of price. So what's the point? Well, firstly, it should. We need to decouple the price paid for low input electricity like wind energy. We need to. It's priced the same as electricity created by gas. Stupid, lining the pockets of developers, and that needs to end. Secondly, there is an application in for an offshore wind farm, so maybe that might make a difference. Hi, Greg. I wonder what rate does the ESB pay for their electricity bills? As if they were paying rates as if all would their profits be as large? Don't forget the bonuses paid for their hard work making the profits. Not. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know. They generate it. They buy it. They generate it. I don't know what price, but we know they're able to make 390 million in 6 months. So whatever they're doing, they need to put some of that money back in their customers' pockets. And you know what? If that means not investment, well, then the government needs to sort of invest in wind and hydro and whatever else then. Right, okay, listen, I don't want to defer the Community Gorda information item or the bingo numbers any longer, so we'll take a break. I'm going to get back to more comments because I know, firstly, you've texted in, so I want to read it out, but I know a lot of people also are very interested in what other people have to say.
The 9 till noon show with St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, your football specialist. Multi-buy discounts on footballs from Mitre, Adidas and O'Neill's. Training equipment, cones, bibs, water bottle sets. View our complete range on bmcsports.ie. Have your team look the part with some Adidas leisure wear. New Entrada 22 quarter zips with matching bottoms. Training packs available for all ages. Look the part, play the part. In-store, online, mobile. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
What matters most? A good night's sleep? Kitchen quality time? A clean house? Dinner time tradition? Or putting your feet up after a long day? What matters most? A happy home. Home Store and more. A happy home.
Let Joe McGee Butchers feed your family with their 5 for €20 deal. Choose from our fantastic deli range. Lasagnas, cottage pie, chicken curry and soups. Just a sample of our fine products all made in store only at Joe McGee Butchers, Letterkenny and Glencar shopping centres. Find us on Facebook and Instagram.
An important timetable update from TFI Local Link Donegal, Sligo, Leitrim, route 953 Moville to Letterkenny. Great news for Monday, September 19th. TFI Local Link route 953 Moville to Letterkenny will be extended to Greencastle and will now service locations including Kildaff, Glenealy, Greencastle and Bridgend. Operating up to 3 times per day, 7 days a week. The enhanced route will now provide a new peak time service for students and commuters into Letterkenny, arriving for both 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and returning at 5 p.m, as well as improved connectivity to regional bus services for onward travel. For timetables, fares and all route information, see locallinkdsl.ie or call our office on 074 9741 644. TFI Local Link, part of the Transport for Ireland network.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91
Okay, it's that time of the week again where we get the latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána. Garda Sergeant Charlene Anderson joins us in studio. You're very welcome back in, and thank you so much for joining us. Good to have you with us. Okay, let's begin with some appeals. And Garda, looking for some help as it relates to a criminal damage incident in Stranraer.
That's correct. So Gardaí in Ballybuffet are appealing for the assistance of the public this morning, Greg, in relation to an incident that occurred in the early hours of Saturday the 17th of September at Mulreany Terrace, Stranraer. Now at approximately 1:15 a.m. or shortly thereafter, a male approached a house in the area and threw a glass at the rear window of the property. He then ran away. Now thankfully the window was not smashed as a result. So we're just appealing for anyone who may have been in the Mulreany Terrace area of Stranraer in around that time, 1:15 a.m. or shortly thereafter, who may have witnessed the incident, or indeed anyone that has any information in relation to it, to contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167 100.
All right, criminal damage this time in Carragard.
That's correct. So Gardaí in Milford this morning are also investigating an incident in relation to criminal damage at Dunmore Cottages, Carragart. Now the owner of one of the cottages arrived at their property only to discover that a garden hose had been placed inside the back boiler and the water had been left running for some time. Now the water may have been left running for a period of a month, give or take. The damage is believed to have occurred between August 28th and September 15th. This is what we believe at the minute, but it could be possibly longer. So we're just asking residents in the area to make contact with Gardaí if indeed they observed anything suspicious, or if there was anyone hanging around the area that they thought might have been unusual in around those time frames of the 28th of August, approximately now, between the 20th of August and the 15th of September. Yeah. And it's to contact Gardaí in Milford this time on 9153 060, or indeed people can contact the Garda Confidential line on 1800 666 111.
Okay, so cast your mind back. Right, potentially. A road traffic collision at Lisnenan.
That's correct. So Gardaí and Letterkenny are investigating a road traffic collision. Now this occurred on Monday the 19th of September on the Lisnenan Road in Letterkenny, and it occurred at approximately 2:50 p.m. Now, what we understand is there was 3 vehicles involved in this collision, but one of the vehicles, which we believe was a van, silver or white in colour, did not remain at the scene. The van left the scene and travelled in the direction of Woodlands. So we're just appealing to anyone who may have witnessed this collision to contact Gardaí, anyone who may have travelled in the area around that time. And of course dashcam footage would be vital in this case. So if anyone was in that particular area and has dashcam footage, we'd ask them to contact Gardaí in Letterkenny.
Okay, and a road traffic collision also Main Street, Glenties.
That's right. On this occasion, the Harvest Festival was on, the Harvest Fair over in Glenties, and it happened on Sunday, the 11th of September at Main Street in Glenties. Now, what we understand was a chip van was parked along the roadside during the fair, and the hatch of the chip van was opened and elevated, and approximately 3 p.m. or shortly before, a white flatbed truck drove past and collided with the hatch of the chip van, causing damage to it. But unfortunately, the driver did not remain at the scene, Greg. So we're just appealing to anyone who may have witnessed this collision. I suppose there was a lot of people at the Harvest Fair over that weekend, so we'd ask them if any one of them may have witnessed the incident or indeed have any information in relation to it to contact Gardaí in Ballyshannon this time on 07198 58530.
All right, and of course maybe the driver of the vehicle in some way or other wasn't aware of what happened, so you'd invite them to if this is news to them, to come forward, but you perhaps know a little bit more than I in relation to that. Okay, right. Next, it is a road traffic collision in the Ballybofey area.
That's correct. So this is a hit-and-run road traffic collision that's been investigated by Gardaí in Ballybofey, and it occurred in the Curramone area of Ballybofey on Saturday the 17th of September, shortly before 9:10 p.m. Now, what we know is that a motorist was travelling over what is known locally as Barney Lugs Bridge and had travelled onwards as far as the T junction, where they were intending on turning left to travel in the direction of Carnamone. Now, a collision occurred at this junction between the motorist in their vehicle. They were driving a red Hyundai, and the oncoming vehicle was a 161DL black Volkswagen Tiguan. The driver of the Tiguan did not remain at the scene, but instead turned right and travelled onwards in the direction of Barney Lugs Bridge. Now, the Tiguan was later located by Gardaí approximately 1 mile out the Glenfin Road. And again, the driver was not present with the vehicle when it was located. Now, thankfully, no injuries were reported as a result of this collision. So we're appealing this morning to motorists who were in the area between 9 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. and who may have dash cam footage to make it available to Gardaí. Any motorists who travelled along the Glenfin Road, also to contact Gardaí 9167100 if they have, as I said, that dash cam footage, or indeed if they witnessed the incident, to make themselves known to us.
Okay. Right, the Donegal Gorda Youth Awards presentation is taking place very soon, isn't it, in the next couple of days?
It is, Greg, yeah. It's taking place on Friday, the 23rd of September at the Council Chambers in Lifford. Now, this is the annual Donegal Youth Awards, and it celebrates outstanding young people between the ages of 13 and 21 throughout the county. So, unfortunately, Greg, you can't apply.
No, it's a long time since I could.
We can't nominate you or anything, unfortunately. But there's 4 separate categories.
I have genes that perhaps could be nominated.
We won't even go there. We just park that. There's 4 separate award categories. And the first one is the individual award, and that's for young people that make a positive contribution to their community, making it a better place to live. Then we have the group award. That's for 2 or more young people that makes that positive contribution to their community. And then there's the Special Achievement Award, and this is for young people who have overcome difficult circumstances, defied all the odds, and whose commitment deserves this recognition. And finally, there is the Community Safety Award, and that's through crime prevention or a safety initiative or innovation that they've made that positive, they've made that positive commitment to their community.
Yeah,
to make
it's
it a
lovely
safer
to
place.
see these younger people recognised, isn't it, Charlene? Because the absolute majority of young people out there are brilliant. And this recognises some of them as well, which I think is lovely. And even through the nomination process that happens.
Well, that's it. And look, we're really looking forward to this year's event. And it is a great opportunity for the young people. And as you said, it's great when they can be recognised for their achievements and for work that they've done. And I suppose, look, over the last number of years, we haven't been able to have these events indoors. So this year, it's back indoors again, which we're delighted for. We look forward to meeting them, their families, their teachers, and the award recipients from the 4 categories will go on then to be considered for the national award. And as Donegal has had great success at national level, like we are hopeful that we might have 1 or 2 winners this year. Each young person that is nominated, Greg, will get a certificate. And it's just a reminder maybe to those who are attending the event that it commences at 12 midday, but there is refreshments from 11:30. And just next week on this programme, we'll announce the winners of the 4 categories.
Looking forward to that as well. I think there was a hugely successful open day in Ishone. It's Letterkenny's turn now, isn't it?
That's correct. Yeah, we held an open day on the 21st of August.
Was it a good turnout? I heard it was.
Fantastic turnout.
Yeah.
We were actually quite taken aback that the amount of people that turned up, but it was great.
Well, you plugged it enough.
We do try, to be fair. But again, look, it's the centenary celebrations this year, so we're all just trying to do our little bit. Letterkenny is hosting their open day on Saturday, the 8th of October, between 12 and 4, with the sensory hour taking place between 11 and 12. And during that time, there'll be no lights and sirens activated. I suppose, look, on the day we'll have the mounted unit, public order unit, dog units, ASU, they put on a display. for them. There's the RNLI, there's Mountain Rescue, and that's just to name but a few. There's also like face painting and some fun activities for the kids. And I will say that anyone that's looking to attend the sensory hour, should they have any requests or requirements in order to, I suppose, be able to make it more safely or more comfortable to attend for their children, or that if they want to contact us to let us know in advance, we'll do our best to accommodate their needs.
I mean, the aim is to make it as accessible to
everybody
as is humanly possible. Okay. So the Gorda mounted units, that's horses, isn't it?
That's the horses.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So like they're based in Dublin, but we can get them down on for different events and that. So they do attend the open days where possible. And as I said, look, we had them in a show and they were a great attraction. Everybody wanted their picture taken with the horses. We have the public order unit, dog unit as well will be down. The armed support that are based in Ballyshannon, they come up and obviously they have all the weapons and the gear in that, and they would go through them and they would show them and explain the different techniques and things. Then we have Mountain Rescues attending RNLI, and there'll be local Gardaí there then from Letterkenny Community Policing Units, Roads Policing Units. So look, it's a good opportunity to meet your local Gardaí too in their own environment.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, if anybody has time on this Saturday, the 8th of October, as I said, between those hours, 12 and 4, and the sensory hours between 11 and 12, absolutely call in. We'd be delighted to see you.
Face painting and everything.
Face painting. Actually, the face painting worked well in Buncrana. They had a queue for about half an hour, and
never went near the station. Just face painted
didn't
away.
Want to go into the station at all. Wanted to get their faces painted.
Well, it is because it's fun, and especially with the young ones of a certain age, it creates a different atmosphere. That's brilliant. Listen, thanks so much indeed for all of that.
Thanks, Greg.
We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, that was the Community Garda slot for this Tuesday, the 20th of September. It'll be available for you to watch and listen back to again on our Facebook page and on the Garda Síochána Facebook page a little later on, and it's back live on air for you next Tuesday around about 10:15 But for now, we'll take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till Noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
Your next move matters, so why not move better? Start your move to permanent TSB today. Apply in-app for our award-winning current account. So don't just move bank. Move better. Apply in-app today. Applications for Explore Current Account in-app in sole name for over 18 personal customers. Residents of Republic of Ireland only. Fees and charges, terms and conditions apply. Awarded Bunkers.ie Best Current Account 2022. Permanent TSB PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Is your Skoda a little older? Pre-loved, perhaps? What adventures, I wonder, did it have in the past? Another family, another life? Bright city lights? Or a quiet country existence seeing Ireland's best sights? We don't really need your car's story. With a Skoda service, you get a complete vehicle health check, genuine Skoda parts, and free roadside assistance for 12 months.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 97 21 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
Ferramori, be an anteger unto, came Ní ectar éon turag a ceann cúpla mí nó bliain fiú, sin é saoil na ferma. No, sin é saoil an athláinethe, nó a chafar fálam na siúla ní a gurtú inalre. Céim chéim, ní ectar éon turag a ceann cúpla mí nó bliain fiú. Bí cuaramach I gcónaí hart ar inalre na ferma, ón údará sláinte agus sábháilteachta hsa.ie/farm safety.
Hello, how can I help you?
I'm looking to claim on my insurance policy.
Okay, and what type of chip do you need to claim for?
It's not a chip. I was in a minor accident.
And was your windscreen chipped in this accident?
No, it's just my backlight and the bumper.
So your windscreen is not chipped?
No.
Unfortunately, our policies only cover chips.
Do you get the feeling that you're not getting the right cover? Well, at Local Insurance, we are Irish owned and understand your needs. Call us today for a bespoke quote on 0818 894 444. Local Insurance, we'll get you sorted. The Local Insurance Network, DAC Trading's Local Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Local Insurance is a tied insurance intermediary of Acorn Brokerage Limited. Acorn Brokerage Limited, trading as Acorn Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okie doke, welcome back to the programme. Let's get to some more of your comments here before we take a break for some music. Greg, I agree. It's not about young people paying for older people. It's about this country having 1.3 million people claiming benefits of one sort or another. We are a welfare nation and something's got to give. I think also, too, and maybe this feeds into it, and this is not too controversial, but, you know, there was a time whereby, it's not that long ago either, whereby when you had children, you know, you had to make serious adjustments in your life because childminding and all that was so expensive. I think an awful lot of not an awful lot, but there's sort of this expectation too as well that, well, granny and granddad are there as a childminding service as well. Do you know what I mean? Does that feed into a changing attitude towards older people? Now, I know granny and granddads, by the way, I know some in their early 40s and even late 30s, actually. So I'm not instantly associating that with older age, but I think you understand the space I'm in here. Could you ask the guy from the EPA how much of the problem is caused by the airline companies? Yeah, well, in terms of the on the ground, I'm not going to get into this because it's kind of controversial, and I've seen quite a bit of posting about this over the last few days. In terms of that falling down into the atmosphere, it's not as problematic as what is at our level here. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of wind and what have you up at the higher level. I'm not sure how big a factor it is, but you know what? We'll put a question in and find out what they say officially. Thanks to Greg for making that nice comment about the elderly. A lot of other radio stations seem to think we are an awful waste of space, so it was nice to hear something nice about us. Not at all. I wouldn't be here. None of us, not one person listening to this programme would be here without their mums and dads and granny and granddads. Greg, can you call out the times for those meetings, please? 7:30. Both of them are at 7:30. So hopefully that's of help. If a pregnant woman vapes, can the baby be addicted to nicotine? I'm not really quite sure how the nicotine from a vape breaks down in this blood system and then goes into the baby. I don't know the answer to that question. That's a medical question. I think if you asked any doctor, should a pregnant woman be vaping, you know, they're always going to err on the side of the caution. So I don't know the ins and outs of that, and it's just not a. If I don't know, I'm just not comfortable even speculating. Did I not play the bingo numbers again? I'm so sorry. I'm going to get that for you now. Right, let's take those bingo numbers. I really am. There seems to be a mental blockage when the Community Gorda item is on. Again, I genuinely am sorry. Here's the bingo numbers.
It's time for Ncbi Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday, the 20th of September. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S7. It's game number 38. The numbers are 9, 57, 41, 30, 33, 53, 79, 63, 67, and finally 46. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Okay, that is the sound of Snow Patrol and Chasing Cars. All right, coming up after 11, we are going to be talking about the St. Eunan's GEA Club Development Draw. Two of the guys coming in to have a chat about that, and it's great to have them on board sponsoring the show. They have some great prizes, by the way. Your chance to win, the top prize, is a Hyundai car, beautiful car from Divers Hyundai, and also there's 9 other amazing prizes, which we'll talk about a little later on. Let's see what they are. A trip to Lapland, valued at 5,000. I would like that. Also, I would like a tractor lawnmower valued at 2,500. Also, I would like 1,000 litres for home heating oil, valued at 1,000. I don't know what value it is. I like the fact that it's litres and not money. There's a family break then to the value of €1,000 at any of the McAniff Group hotels. Furniture, thanks to Classic Blinds. Kernan's Eateries, there's a €500 voucher for there. Sweeney's Spa, they have a €500 voucher available. Tobin's also another €500 there. And also a new slide robe wardrobe worth €1,200. Thanks to Grainhouse Kitchens. Okay, so great prizes, and it's actually great to see businesses supporting their local GEA club there as well. I mentioned Liberty Travel, didn't I? They're also supporting the trip to Lapland, and Gallinaz, Letterkenny Tool Hire and Sales are they're working with them as it relates to the tractor lawnmower and the home heating oils from Top Oil. But also, what the exciting thing is as well is that I have 2 tickets here, which I'll be giving away after 11 o'clock. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning, being in it for free, they want you to buy your tickets as well because it's a fundraiser for St. Eunan's. We're going to give you a chance to win 2 tickets. 2 of you will win a ticket each worth €20. The tickets are €20 each, or you can get 3 for a £5. You can go to St. Eunan's Draw, St. Eunan's GEA Draw.com. And they're doing great work on social media as well in plugging this, having some fun with it. That's the way to do it. Because you don't realise you're being sold tickets when you're enjoying what you're watching. 20 tickets, tickets are €20 or 3 for £50. We've got 2 here. These could be the lucky ones in my greasy mitts. So stay tuned after 11 to hear what they're fundraising for and what they're going to do with the money. The prizes, we'll run through them again as well. But also for your chance to win one of those tickets. I have to come up with a question. Donna Marie and Emma can do that. But anyway, we'll do that later on. That's after 11. That and so much more besides. Rightio, let us catch up on this next break, and we'll get to more stuff.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
Keep out the cold this winter and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Donegal Texel sheep breeders are holding a sale of 100 rams in Rafo Livestock Mart this Friday the 23rd of September. Show at 5:30 and sale at 7 p.m. That's this Friday evening at Rafo Mart.
There's never been a better time to go full Lidl. Let's hear it from our customers.
Like, no matter what they want, there's something in the fridge. We discovered stuff that made our dinner special. They'd go, you didn't buy your meat in Lidl this week, did you buy it somewhere else? Yeah. Whereas now there's no point in me going anywhere else. It's Lidl. That's what they want.
Go on, go full Lidl today.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euromillions Jackpot is an estimated €175 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
At Cooney's Home Interiors, we pride ourselves on offering you the very best in choice, quality and value on all home furnishings. Treat your home with a visit to Cooney's today and choose from our large range of suites, tables, beds, not to mention our large selection of home accessories. Our motto is, if you see it, you can buy it, and we will deliver it to your door. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Thinking of hiring a locksmith? Or do you provide locksmith services? Did you know that locksmiths must hold a PSA licence issued by the Private Security Authority? Locksmiths who operate without a licence, and anyone employing one, is breaking the law and could face prosecution and fines. For more information on how to get a licence or to report an unlicensed locksmith, visit psa-gov.ie. Issued by the Private Security Authority, the security regulator.
All right, a little later on in the programme as well, Ellen, I'm hoping will be back on the show with us. We spoke to Ellen yesterday. Many of you out there very moved by her story. It's real life. And Ellen, incredibly brave to speak out because, Ellen, home is affected by mica, and she talked about her personal circumstances in a very frank and open way, which is difficult. But it really gives us an insight into the reality of what people are living through. And we're open to that and still continue to do that, by the way, so stay in touch. But I wanted to check in with Ellen again to see if there's been any progress since yesterday, and I believe there may well have been. So if you're emotionally interested in Ellen's story, stay tuned. Coming up after 11, hopefully have another wee chat with her, and that and so much more besides, as you know. Right, okay, let's get an update, if there is one in fact, on the Tusnua regeneration project for Carndonagh. Councillor Albert Doherty joins us on the programme to discuss this. Good morning, Albert. How are you?
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, listeners.
Rightio.
Yeah, fine.
Talk to us about what is the Tusnua regeneration project for Carndonagh. It's close on €10 million project, so it's not insignificant. What is its aims?
Yeah, it's a 9.5 million rural regeneration project for Carndonagh, announced in April 2021 with a deserved fanfare, with hats off to all involved, especially Spree, our own planning area. And it saw a projected transformation of Carndonagh, where in 2018, when the local area plan for Carndonagh was adopted, we targeted and highlighted that we had significant vacancy, significant dereliction, and we're in need of significant regeneration support. And that was forthcoming, and that saw an opportunity on that 9.5 million to revitalise Carndonagh, to act as a catalyst for change economically, socially. And this partnership with Spree would also involve creating a creative makers hub, changing places, digital fab lab, and youth space. So a great venture announced in April. However, I know COVID played a role, but 1 year anniversary, all local councillors would have highlighted the slow pace of progress.
Just in relation to before we get to that, Albert, in relation to a project like this, is there a funding uplift in it? Because, obviously procedures have to be followed and things have to be done correct. But the longer, particularly in these times, the longer it takes a project like this to sort of start actually, seeing ground being opened and blocks being laid, etc., it's going to get more expensive the longer it takes to actually get going in earnest. Does that mean the 9.5 million becomes less in value, or can more money be drawn down to account for inflation?
Well, given what you've just said, and given our experiences and those involved in the construction works, those involved in development, yes, to me, that is a priority concern. What was intended to be delivered by 9.5 million in April 2021, can the same be delivered 17 months later? But what was really concerning for us, Greg, was on September 6th, the councillors and Inishowen were given an indication that it was anticipated that the capital works would commence in Q3 of 2022. And that's the here and now. And when we quizzed and welcomed that, the planner said, by the way, I believe it's a typo there, and that should read Q3 of another year, 2023. Mm-hmm. And that meant that I went to follow up on this, and to my great disappointment, the Regeneration and Development team have come back with stages. They've welcomed, and I welcome, that it was planned to issue the tender for the professional design and supervision team and valuer this month. But thereafter, they went through how different stages of design and acquisition, procurement of a contractor, could not see, or they anticipated could not be proceeding to site till Q3 of 2023.
Okay, well, with that in
and
mind...
That's the concern, based on what you said as well.
Okay, well, with that in mind, though, with a 9.5 million total project, what is the 4.4 million projected spend in 2022 going to be spent on then? If actual work is not beginning till third quarter next year, what's half the money being spent this year on?
And that was an estimation of what would be spent in the Carndonagh project, given to all councillors, and something picked up by myself in January of 2022, that there'd be a projected spend of 4.4. I don't see if the only issue that we're getting to move forward in September is to invite tenders for professional design and supervision, that will be expended. But there was one other caveat that concerned me. On July 21st, 2 government ministers visited the site. I was not privy to that visit, but representatives of the community, representatives in the business sector attended with the ministers. One minister, when being briefed by the local community, one minister said she was shocked that there was no movement with the project since April 21. She indicated to the Cairn reps that there was a pressing drawdown period, that there was a pressing completion period. She informed the group that in receipt of the letter of offer it should be full steam ahead. And she expressed her concern that there hadn't been the open and proper consultation with the respective property owners. That sent a worrying sign to myself, and that was why we pressed, and that's why I am now asking this regeneration and development team to come back to us with a review of the timetable and explanations on how this capital project delivery is affected by the time passing and by what you said as well, the funding of 9.5
I hope
in
we
April
don't get
21.
I hope we're not getting a reputation, firstly, as moaners, because we have to scream it from the rooftops, because we do feel that we aren't treated equally compared to elsewhere. But I hope that, because this is another story where we seem to be talking about money being allocated to the county that we aren't organised well enough to spend. I mean, how does that look when the notes send back to the department and department officials look at it and go, well, we made the allocation, you know, where's this money? Why is this money not being spent or used? You just wonder across all departments and all projects, you know, how big of a problem is this?
Well, if there's a positive criticism, I believe, is that we must all reflect on how long it is taking council and the consultation with government to put capital project delivery teams in situ so that these teams can work with the capital allocated by government. And that's an issue, I think, maybe it's countrywide, but it's certainly countywide, that there seems significant delays. I mean, presently at the September meeting, we didn't have a dereliction officer appointed in housing, which every county local authority was supposed to have in situ by January of this year. So yes, there's an inner reflection and an inner consultation required, but likewise, going back to Carndonagh, I would like to see more focus on it and, as I said, a review of the outlined plans and an earlier commencement.
Right. Do you think that's realistic, though? Because I think in some comments you've also said that you don't want this rushed either. I mean, are you satisfied for things to progress as they are if these timelines don't slip? Because at the end of the day, you know, in 5 years' time, we'll look back and will 6 months have made much difference, as long as it's correct and it's right.
Yeah, if someone from the planning convinces me that this can't be moved forward any faster, I will take it on the chin. But I'm telling them that my community, the traders, the people involved in feeding into and feeding from the great organisation that Spree is, they are asking questions which begin with when. And the local rep for the people, I think it's only right that I ask the local authority when and why not earlier.
All right, okay. Listen, thanks for your time this morning. Have a good day. Good to chat to you again. Councillor Albert Doherty there outlining his concerns. All right, let's get to a few comments here. Years ago, Letterkenny was the worst planned town in the country because it's built all over the place rather than being compact. Donegal County Council shouldn't plan anything. They need to get some experts in. Ballybofey is going the same way now. Well, you would probably know that there is it's a funded, actually, multi-million euro scheme for not the redesign, but the future design of Letterkenny, interlinking various parts of Letterkenny. That work is ongoing, I'm told. Where I work, we've been told going forward that heating is being reduced by several hours. We can't turn on any electric heaters due to the cost of living. During COVID, we worked from home. Is this not an option now? I was trying to see what my rights were last night, but I'm not sure. It's an older building and it's very cold. I love my work, but we will all end up sick. Well, you are. There is legislation, much lauded by Tánaiste Leo Varadkar, that a company, if you make a request, has to consider you working from home, and there's certain criteria which they can refuse and certain criteria which they can't. So I would say you sound like a candidate for making that argument. I don't have a link off the top of my head, but just Google, right to work from home, or what is it called? There's a phrase for it anyway, but the info's there, maybe. And don't be afraid to go and mention it to your boss either. A lot of us complain to each other and in various places about the working conditions. Go to the boss and complain to them. I think it does no harm. We're too focused on degree students, says this listener. Trades are dying out. My family, the siblings who had a more basic, not the right term, are just as well off. Young people feel so hard done by. I was having this conversation before. Awful pressure on young people to go to third level. Thankfully, nationally, it seems that we are appreciating that we do need tradespeople and people with different skill sets. And quite rightly. I mean, there's no point churning out 1 million computer programmers every year. We need people with diverse skills. My daughter is on her last year training to be a nurse. My wife and I have paid for everything. No Susie Grant. My advice to my daughter is, when qualified, get out of this country as it's finished. It's fast becoming a dump due to lazy left-wing people, says a caller there. Okay. Nice to have that ringing in your ears heading off to college for your third year. Could Greg mention this on the show? I was on the air a few months ago talking to Greg about young boys torturing my dad, banging on the windows. It started to happen again now that it's getting dark earlier. Now he's so afraid this is going to start again for the next few months. He has health problems and doesn't need this. Thanks. Well, you know what? Maybe it's time for us to have a chat and revisit that again if the chat the last time helped.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till Noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
If you have magic moments or great memories sitting on your phone or in the cloud, have them printed at McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. Get larger 7x5 prints for the same price as 6x4s. 35mm and film from disposable cameras, also printed and digitalised. Use the in-store kiosks, download the McGee's Photo Prints app, or visit mcgees.ie for photos printed instantly, within an hour, or in by 10 and ready by 5. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Have you a job vacancy that needs urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Sign up for a job spot and we will tell our 70,000 daily listeners about your vacancies every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows. We will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All jobs will be listed on highlandradio.com under our job spot section. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 5322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, delivering your message across the Northwest.
If you need a suit, then call to the Suit Bar at Evolve in Letterkenny Retail Park. Whatever your size, Evolve has it. Whatever your style, shape or price, the Suit Bar at Evolve has your suit. At Evolve Letterkenny Retail Park.
Whether you're travelling for business or leisure, fly local and choose City of Derry Airport. For a convenient, friendly and reliable service, choose City of Derry Airport. Direct flights to London Stansted, Liverpool, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Manchester and Majorca. Book now at cityofderryairport.com. Voted the #1 airport in Northern Ireland.
At Ulster Bank, we are closing. And from the 8th of October, all customers whose accounts have passed the 6-month closure notice period will no longer be able to use their accounts. For our customers making nursing home payments, for themselves or on behalf of a loved one, make sure your payments remain uninterrupted by switching your account now. For more vulnerable customers who need extra assistance, please call our vulnerable customer line on 1800 656 001. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, at a minute past 11, let's get a news update and say good morning once again to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Gardaí are hunting a van driver involved in a hit and run in Letterkenny yesterday afternoon. At around 2:50pm, 3 vehicles collided on Lisnanen Road. A silver or white coloured van failed to remain at the scene and is believed to have travelled in the direction of Woodlands. Investigations, meanwhile, are continuing into a hit and run in Ballybuffet also. A black Volkswagen Tiguan involved in the incident on Saturday last was later found abandoned on the Glenfin Road. Gardaí are appealing to anyone with information to come forward. 400 applications to the Mica Redress Scheme are awaiting decisions, while to date just 13 homes have been repaired. Minister Charlie McConlogue says a meeting yesterday with Donegal County Council management revolved around how to progress applications as quickly as possible. A meeting is due to take place between the local authority and the Department of Housing in the near future to ensure outstanding applications receive clarity and decisions. Increasing the pension age by 2 years is preferable to giving people the option of working longer for higher pay. That's according to a member of the Pension Commission, as the future of pensions is set to be unveiled by the Minister for Social Protection today. Heather Humphreys plans to implement changes from 2024, which could see those who stay in work until 70 get an increased payment of €315 a week. The Caherlock of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District will today ask officials to carry out a full inspection of all footpaths in the district. Figures seen by Councillor Donald Mandy Kelly show a significant increase in compensation payments for injuries sustained in falls. Meanwhile, long call for road improvement works have been carried out at the Ora Leisure Centre in Letterkenny. A new non-slip surface has been installed at the pedestrian crossing. It's after serious safety concerns were raised by local residents about the speed at which motorists travelled along the route. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Okay, Michaela, thank you.
At Irish Life, we've been helping people make smart investments with their nest egg for over 80 years. For actual trusted advice, search irishlife.ie or contact your financial broker or advisor. We know Irish Life. We are Irish Life. Irish Life Financial Services is tied to Irish Life Assurance for life and pension products. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Irish Life Financial Services Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
All right, you're welcome back to the programme. So we're going to talk about now the St Eunan's GEA Club Development Draw, joined in studio by Ollie Harvey, president of the club and organiser of the draw. Good morning to you, Ollie. It's good to have you in. And also John Harn, chairman of the club. Good morning, John.
Morning, Greg.
Good to have you in as well. Right, okay. John, obviously it's onwards and upwards, building on the great success of late at St Eunan's.
That's right, Greg. We've launched this development draw now in the last few months there because we need to expand our facilities, Greg. We're the biggest GA club in Donegal, and with that comes responsibility, and we have to try and look after the young people of Letterkenny and give them the best facilities possible. So with that in mind, Greg, we've decided to build another pitch out in O'Donnell Park, where people know our facilities there. It'll be going on out at the back of our practice pitch at the moment, going on out towards Cornwall there. So we're looking to build a brand new sand-based pitch with floodlights, Greg. It's one of the things probably we haven't had we've never had is proper floodlights. So for a club of our size, I suppose it's about time we got the floodlights installed. So that's what the draw is about, Greg, is improving our facilities. So we're looking to build a brand new pitch with floodlights, state of the art. So to continue developing and give the young people of Letterkenny the best facilities.
Yeah, and it's not just to give those involved in the sport the best facilities. Now it's about growing the participation too amongst young people, because for those interested in sport, we know the values of getting involved in that sense of firstly the exercise and the positive impact of that, but also mixing with other people and all that type of stuff, John?
Absolutely, Greg. It's vital. And, in this last, well, I suppose, maybe 20, 30 years, ladies football, and now we've got camogie. So it's, we cater for everyone, and it is vital, Greg. And it's brilliant to be involved and to see the young people coming out there on a Sunday morning for the Sunday Morning Academy, from anything from 3 up until 10. And I'm involved, Greg, with under 10s at the minute. And, we've been at a couple of blitzes around the north there. We were in Dromore last Saturday where we had a bit of success. And just bringing the children on a bus, and they're coming from all the schools around the town, from Woodlands, Lurgybrack, Ellerstone, the Gaelskull, Skull Columkill, Skullwarra, even out as far as Thermahal. They're all our catchment area, Greg, on Educate Together, Ballyrain, all them schools. So, when you see all the children coming and training together and then getting on the bus and going and having the day's crack and coming back with a bit of silverware, it's great. And it's great friendships for them children, Greg. And the vital part of that too is that, when they move on into secondary school, wherever that may be, St. Junans or Errigal College or the Loretto or maybe even Milford, that they know people from the different schools, and it's great for friendships like that there. So all them things are vital, Greg, and it's all them things make the GA so important, and it's what we all love about it. And me and Ollie are here as kind of representing the club, but there's a lot of people out there putting a lot of work, and it's just great to have the support of the local community in Letterkenny and Donegal with this draw, and with that responsibility we're trying to do our best for everyone.
Yeah, and you continuing your silverware delivering managerial skills. You're playing it down there, John.
It's only a bit of cracking underage.
I know that it is, I'm sure. You don't get excited about it at all, do you? Come here, Ollie, president of the club, also organiser of the draw. It's about scale, this. You go big or go home, and you've gone big on it.
Yeah, we have, Greg. We've been planning this draw since we got the funding back in last year before Christmas, so we came up with the idea to run with the draw. And I have to say, I'd like to thank everybody who came on board. Members of the club have been brilliant, Greg, and people have sponsored the prizes. They're 100% behind us too, and I'm out around the county every day delivering, and the crack in the road and you're selling the tickets or shouting away for tickets, it's immense, guy.
Yeah, that's it. And I think the approach is, and I'm presuming it's Ollie you bringing this to, you have to have a bit of fun with it too, don't you? I mean, that's that's all part of it, isn't it?
That's what we say. Like, what happens on the football field when the games is over is all forgotten about. I have to say, the support around the county from every other club it's amazing. Like, when you're out there to see it, it's like with Glenties there in the park there on Sunday in Glenswilly, and the amount of people come up buying tickets was unbelievable to see it. Like,
it might not be the love of St. Eunice, though. It might be the love of Hyundai. But whatever it takes, it doesn't matter, does it?
I might even be the love of myself.
It could be, but that's an outsider now. That's running on the fence quite a way back from the leader. But listen, I mean, the prizes are listed from 1 to 10, but from 1 to 10, they're fantastic. There's no fillers here. And as you mentioned, you've got the likes of Divers Hyundai, Liberty Travel, Letterkenny Tool Hire and Sales, Top Oil, the McAniff Group of Hotels. You've got Classic Blinds and Interiors, Letterkenny, the Kernan's Shops and Eateries, Sweeney's Spa, Tobin's, and also Greenhouse Kitchens. I mean, without them working with you on this as well, it doesn't have the same impact, because you're delivering, as I say, great prices from 1 to 10.
We are, and in fairness, all them people that has come on there, and there for someone sponsoring them prizes there, like, it's unreal to help, and the right selling. Like, you take Anthony from Liberty Travel, he's around the town there pushing the draw for us, and Terence Dover down there in Hyundai, and then you've got a Kenny Tool Hire selling, and everybody's out there. Like, everybody wants to see this happening. Yeah. Like, we're doing this draw for the people off the town. Like, want to give people when they come to a park, like, the best facilities to train. Like,
yeah. And it's a community. I mean, it's big, but it's a community facility, and John's made that point really quite clearly about the benefit it has to the community, and what better you can offer into the future. So is this a bit of match funding? There's already been an allocation, and then you as a club have to draw some money together to match it.
We got a grant of 150,000 from the last sports capital grants, which was then might even been at the start of this year, only 2022 or maybe the back end of 21. So we were glad to get that, Greg. But we put a lot of pressure on the politicians because taking a step back to the start of the pandemic when St. Junans was used as a COVID test centre, and we manned that for 6 months ourselves with our own volunteers, helping the HSE deliver that there at no cost to the HSE. So someone in the club said to me, goodwill doesn't pay the bills, but in the long run, goodwill does pay the bills, because when you go to sell tickets, people say, well, listen, St. Eunan's are a good community organisation. They do their best. They stepped up at the time of the pandemic. As I said, we always make our facilities available to all the national schools and the secondary schools around Letterkenny and further afield, like Letterkenny Athletic Club, who we have close partnership with there too, because a lot of our members, Greg crisscross, and the athletic club were using it out there last week for the cross country for the primary schools, and it was great to see maybe 400 or 500 young children from around the town out there using our facilities to do their cross country. So you always get back when you do the right thing, Greg. You always get the payback further down the line. So we're happy so far with the draw. It's going very well, and I have to this man here beside me, Ollie, the president, like, he does, I know he won't like me saying it, but he does deserve special mention, because the amount of tickets he's selling is phenomenal, and his video with John Watson went down a treat there on social media. So Ollie's up for a laugh all the time, but the work he does is phenomenal, and at the club we're just lucky to have him.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to get any Oscars, but got plenty of likes and shares, and isn't that what it's all about? And that's when I was referencing the fun element of it too, Ollie. You know what I mean? That's part of it now. That's how you have to do these things, don't you? You entertain people and get your message across, and it's another way of getting it out there. And you got that, that anyway. I'm preaching to the converted. Talk then about the draw. Tickets are €20 each, but 3 for £50. So they've been obviously, it's not an insignificant purchase, but they've been targeted there. So if people want to support the club and be with a chance of winning a great prize, hopefully most people might be able to stretch to that.
Yeah, well, the tickets are 1 for 20 or 3 for 50, Greg, and you can buy them online too there now. But I have to say the tickets are absolutely flying. Good. We have limited the tickets to 8,000. And I have to say, we're at the minute, we're nearly halfway through them.
Oh, really? Wow. That's
which
fantastic.
is a major success. And we're on about maybe, if they keep going the way they are, we might pull the draw forward. And get people enjoy.
Go again before the original deadline.
Do we put that idea in the bed?
Yeah, okay, yeah, because if you sell out the tickets, and it actually that's really quite an important element of this, because people know that their chances of winning are greatly improved if it's a fixed amount. So there's no point dilly-dallying. If you get the tickets in, get them sold, why not go early?
Yeah, that's one of the main things we're looking at doing. Just at the minute, everybody is ringing looking for them, and I was just chatting to a fellow that's doing online sales for this morning. He says it's since we're on Highland Radio, it's giving it a big lift too. So
well, now you're committed to 2 weeks on this show, so if you sell out 8,000, you're still here. You can come up with something else, but you're not getting any money back.
No, that's grand. We'll stand by that one.
I'm only messing. Right, so the tickets are, as you've talked about, you're going out selling them, and there's, they're popping up where people can buy them. But also steunansgeadraw.com. You can get your tickets there as well, get allocated your ticket, and no problem there, yeah?
Yeah, there's different locations around the town where you can go and buy them. You can buy them in Letterkenny, Tulay around there. You can buy them in Max Mace. You can buy them in Topans. And then you can Liberty Travel selling them there, and then if any club member is carrying them, you can get them, or else online.
Right, okay, so it's limited to 8,000 tickets, half already sold. The price is, there's 10 of them. A new Hyundai Kona, i30N line, a trip to Lapland worth $5,000, which would be lovely coming up to Christmas. The tracked lawnmowers, I say, a lot of us want one of them, but not everyone can get the $2,500 together, so that'd be a nice one. 1,000 litres of home heating oil is a great price too. Family break worth €1,000. That's at the Magnific Group hotels. Furniture worth $1,000 as well, thanks to Classic Blinds and Interiors. A 500 voucher for Kernan's, and also for Sweeney's Spa. A fuel voucher of €500 for Tobin's, and a slide robe wardrobe valued at €1,200. I literally could do something with all of them. I don't know about you guys, but they're good prizes.
Great. Well, I won't make the same mistake, Greg, as the last time I was on the draw, so I won't be putting my name on any tickets
what
this time.
What happened there again? Remind us.
The young fella pulled out my ticket for the Gareth Brooks, 2 tickets for Gareth Brooks at our Christmas draw, but I put them back in. So
I know
a young lady from Ardra won them. So I hope she had a good night at the weekend.
Did you go to Gareth Brooks?
I did not.
Right.
My wife wasn't impressed then. She said, I wish we had gone, because everyone was chatting about it. But
I
there
know,
you are.
but you're always with these draws, especially the live ones. You're always waiting for something. It's like, I've seen it so often. Someone working in a building wins something or other. Do you know what I mean? It's just the luck of the draw. it throws stuff up. Have you anything planned, Ollie, for how you're going to do the live draw? Now the expectations are going to be high, or are you going to play it straight?
No, we're just going to say we'll just run the draw from the clubhouse, Greg, when it's done, and we'll keep John away that night in case he draws in case he draws it out again. But
chasing, you don't want. Yeah, I was going to say, the other John, you don't want him chasing you around in a ride-on lawnmower either.
No, I'll give John a break now for a while.
The two Johns.
Two Johns.
And in fact, anyone named John, stay away from the draw. Is that it? Okay.
But just Greg, I'd just like to give a special mention to every club member have rolled in. Hey, it's unbelievable the amount of work and effort they're putting in, and I'd like to thank the past club members too, for we wouldn't be here today doing these draws without them. You know, all the people who've worked behind the scenes in the club, and a special thanks to me. I know he does a lot of work too for me. It's my own brother, Cal Harvey. Like, he's the amount of tickets that he sells too, it's just phenomenal. Like.
Brilliant. And of course, there's a big date coming up with centenaries, not too far away, really, in real terms, is it?
That's right.
The club established in 1930.
1930, that's right, Greg. Yeah. It's not a million miles away. Yeah.
You know, it's all about having everything. I mean, hopefully you'll have it finished long before then. But do you know what I mean?
It doesn't long become around.
It's quite impressive. You know, close on 100 years on, that the club is still there. Club doing well on and off the pitch, and you know, looking to get even better and to be even a more important part of the community than it already is. Like, it's impressive. I think it's amazing, really, when you think about it.
That's the beauty of the GAA. Yeah, it is.
Really.
It's amazing, Greg. And you know, the thing about Letterkenny is, like, my fella was a blow-in, Ollie's fella was a blow-in. You know, so you know, Letterkenny is a lot of blow-ins, and we have to make them feel welcome. You know, that's because
I think there's a compliment in there somewhere.
No, there's absolutely. So it's full of people that have come to the town for work, and we have to make them feel welcome, and they are welcome. And St. Eunan's is an open door, and anyone that's listening to this now that has children, or even if you're and still can play a bit. Like, we have 4 adult teams, and the ladies are there, the hurlers are there, the camogie team's there, so there's something for everyone. And even if you don't want to play and you want to get involved with the Irish language and the score side of things and all that, there's always something for someone, Greg, and it can bring people together, and people that are new to the town and have moved in, that they can feel part of the community.
And I kind of joke, but the point you make is a strong one. It's not a new thing. Being an open and welcoming club, the history is there. As you can attest to yourself. All right, brilliant. Okay, you've been good enough to give us a few tickets to give away here, so we're going to give 2 away. And the question is, when was St. Eunan's GAA established? When was the club established? Is it A, 1930, or B, 2010? So you know it's not one of them anyway. We're trying to keep it as easy as possible, but sometimes I think these can be a bit easy. But anyway, when was St. Eunan's GAA club established? Now, text A or B, followed by your name and where you're from, to 086 60 25,000, or WhatsApp. Now, if you don't use mobiles, you can call us too. We'll sort you out. But we have 2 tickets, so one of you or 2 of you will win a ticket each, thanks to Ollie and John, who brought them with them. So to be in with a chance to win one of these tickets, to win one of those great prizes, text the answer to this question: when was St. Eunan's GAA established? A, 1930, B, 2010. Your answer, A or B, to 086 60 25,000, and we'll keep the lines open for another 12 minutes, then make the draw. Right, so not all jokes aside, but in all seriousness, Ollie, if people want to be in this draw with the fixed amount of tickets, the 8,000, you don't want to dilly-dally, because they will go. You've already done half the tickets bar the shouting. So if someone wants to be in with a chance of winning one of these prizes, get online or get into some of those stores you mentioned there.
Yeah, people need to, like, tickets are flying. If they see any club member, contact them, or any of them shops that I mentioned, or go online is the handiest thing.
Yeah. And what's exciting, John, is that you can see the target here, can't you? Because you've got that funding that you were granted. You can see this draw's going in the right way. You've got the plans. So it's lovely that it looks like, you're going to get that second pitch. You're going to get the floodlights, and it's exciting times.
It's great, Greg. And the only problem with me and Ollie is now we'll be too old to enjoy it. But it's not about us; it's about the young children coming behind us and the players that we have at the minute. And that's what it's all about.
Ollie's looking at
he's
I'm so
chatting about himself.
I was going to say he's got to go.
And he's still out there kicking the ball.
What's this wee business?
No, Ollie was under 16B, was it, Ollie? County medal.
Under 14.
Under 14.
Under 14.
County medal, though.
County medal.
Important thing. Do you still have it?
Still have it, I
have one of them too.
I know.
Mine's under 16 actually, but right. What happened to you? You packed it in at.
I pulled a hammer, Greg, and
really?
16 cost too much to get fixed.
I
think it's his hand there.
You can joke about it now, but I'd say it was gutting at the time, was it?
It was.
Huh? You know, at that age, and you're you know, you're starting to taste the success of it. All right. Listen, guys, thanks very much for that. Just remind us of the website. I'll say that, stunionsgadraw.com. Ollie, remind people where they can get them in person. A lot of people want to deal in cash and stuff as well now. Or buy presents for people as well. It's always a good option. It'd be a lovely thing to get. And they're really well presented too, by the way. If you buy them physically, are they sent out if you buy them online? Or
you buy them on. We send you the copy in.
Look, they're really nicely put together. I think that's one, isn't it? It is.
Yeah.
Okay, and it has all the prizes listed there. So it's a nice thing. You've done it right. So, Ollie, remind us where people can get them outside of the online offering as well.
You can buy them on Letterkenny Tool Hire. You can buy them on Max Mace, Topins, and...
your brother.
Kiernan's. My brother, Kiernan's. And that's...
a lot of club members have them.
Yeah,
a lot of club members have them.
Everyone's bought into this, I think, that's associated with St. Eunan's. All right, listen, great stuff, guys. Well done. Thank you very much for giving us a couple of tickets, supporting the show as well, and hopefully now you have the 8,000 sold out sooner rather than later, because when the tickets are gone, Ollie, you're suggesting that you might even bring the draw forward.
Yeah, that's our plan. I agree.
All right, brilliant stuff. All right, thanks so much. Keep up the fantastic work. And John, just you mentioned about, people being welcomed into the club and all the various things that it has to offer. What's the one point of contact? Do you know what I mean? That people can get all this information.
A lot of people would just give us a message through Facebook, Greg. It's maybe something we have to look at to maybe set something up, but mostly through Facebook. But if they have young children, say between the age of 3 or 4 up until 10, they can come out on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. to the Sunday Morning Academy to get their children involved. And then if there's any older people or adult players or people that have moved to the town that want to get involved with the club, just send us a message on Facebook and someone will get back to them with details, Greg.
And as you say, the message is you're more than welcome.
Absolutely.
Which is a lovely message. Okay, listen, guys, well done with the draw. Already it's a success, but it is obviously going to sell out at some point, and people need to get their tickets quick if they want to be a part of it, because the prizes are brilliant. And again, fair play to those that have sponsored or worked with the club to make those prizes available, because they are really, really impressive from 1 to 10. But for now, Ollie Harvey, president of the club and organiser of the draw, and John Harn, chair of the club, both of you, thanks so much for joining us in studio. Really appreciate it. Okay, back with more after we take this break.
The 9 till noon show with St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at stunionsgadraw.com or any club member.
Tourism businesses have a brand new mark of employer excellence. Driven by the employee's voice, the Employer Excellence Programme recognises employers who consistently create better workplaces for their employees. Attract and retain top talent. Shine the spotlight on your business. The Employer Excellence Programme. Learn more at falltoireland.ie.
Sabrina Robb here from Donegal Hearing Clinic. If you're struggling to hear everyday conversations or find it difficult to understand people in a crowded room, you may have hearing loss. Problems like these are common, and we're used to helping people resolve them. We offer hearing assessments and will discuss your options. You can call us on 074 91 88 470 or visit donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Wellness awaits at the multi-award-winning V-Spa, set within the confines of the 4-star Villa Rose Hotel Ballybuffet. As a sanctuary of tranquility and relaxation, the V-Spa specialises in advanced facials together with Medi-Spa treatments featuring chemical pills and microneedling. This September, the V-Spa have released a collection of autumn wellness packages that are guaranteed to leave you feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. View the autumn spa packages online today on villarose.ie.
Are you on a low income and worried about an essential expense or bill that you can't afford? The Department of Social Protection is here to help. The additional needs payment is available to support you with important expenses, such as utility bills or other essential household or personal costs. It's available to anyone on a low income who qualifies, no matter how many hours you work or if you're already on a social welfare payment. This support is provided by the Department's Community Welfare Service. To find out more, visit gov.ie/ANP or call 0818 60 70 80. A Government of Ireland initiative.
Okay, so if you want to be in with the chance to win one of 2 tickets we have to give away for the St. Eunan's GA draw, simply text your answer to this question. When was St Eunan's GAA established? A, 1930. B, 2010. Text your answer, your name, where you're from to 086 60 25,000. WhatsApp it either, by the way, so it's free for you to enter if you use WhatsApp, but most texts are free now, I think, with various packages. If you don't text, I want you involved as well. Call us 07491 25,000. We'll make sure Donna Marie or Emma, or they'll make sure that your name goes into the hat. Right, let's get an update on the situation in Milford. You might recall we spoke about this some time ago. And people have been, well, I'll tell you, I'll get Councillor Liam Blaney Cahirlock to explain to us. Liam, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, so people were really under the cosh with this stench around Milford, weren't they? Describe what it was like.
It was disgusting. It was terrible. You know, it's this day and age, we should either have to live or work in the kind of conditions that was there for a while. But thankfully, through the good work of yourself and your show, through the response from the people of Milford ringing into Irish Water, that things have improved there. And this last week or 10 days, that the smell has gone after a lot of good work done by the workers at the coal front there, with the coal face off it, and by Irish Water themselves. Well, I think they've invested substantially on the plant, and hopefully, that's no guarantee, but hopefully it will remedy the situation and won't have to put up, and the people of Milford won't have to put up with what they've put up with this last number of months.
Brilliant. So, and to yourself, of course, and other reps who highlighted this. So, for now, anyway, it seems the problem has been resolved, and we'll just keep an eye out, depending on whether it's very wet weather or dry weather, to see what the long-term situation is.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I suppose the last couple of months has been fairly dry,
yeah.
And we'll see now when the wet weather comes again. But I think it did work better in the wet weather than it did in the dry weather.
Right.
So hopefully that'll continue, and that the people will have not have to put up with that, what they did have to put up with this last couple of months any longer.
All right, well, we'll take the wins when we can get them. Good news, Liam.
All right, thanks, Greg.
And also, as you say, the actual people, when they're given the resources and the time and the instruction, they got out and they got it done. And you mentioned that yourself too, but fair play to them, those workers.
In fairness, you have to. In fairness, would have to thank the local people in Milford as well, and the workers there at the coalface, and they have to work on that, and even the people that works in Milford having to work in them conditions, it was completely wrong, and they shouldn't have to do it, and hopefully that will be the end of it.
Brilliant. All right, we'll leave it at that. I know you've meetings and what have you. Thanks very much, Liam.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Cheers,
right, bye-bye. That's the Cahirlock of the council there, Councillor Liam Blaney. That's good news, isn't it? The situation in Milford has been resolved, and well done to all of you listening in the Milford area who individually contacted Irish Water, because I get the impression it got to the point where it simply could not be ignored. Petitions are grand, where you get 20 people to sign, but that and also too, there's other avenues where people make complaints about odours and stuff, like say for instance through the guards, and often all of those complaints come under one complaint number. All right, so it's important that when we have a problem like that, we all individually make our complaints known, and then those complaints have to be given individual references, as far as I'm aware, and we hope that's the case, and maybe that's proven to be the case. But petitions are grand, and going through one avenue, like say for instance on Gorda Síochána, that's fine too, but often then it ends up just being one complaint, even though multiple people are very upset. But anyway, be that as it may, we got there. That situation has been resolved. Brilliant for the people of Milford.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till Noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till Noon show on Highland Radio.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
We all know everyone's bills are going up, so maybe it's time to say goodbye to those other supermarkets. At Lidl, we always help to make your full shop cost less, so hopefully it's one less worry. Because when you go full Lidl, you'll have the freedom to shop without compromise and pay less. So go on, Go full Lidl today. Paying less when compared to other supermarket retailers when shopping like-for-like products on pro-rata prices. See Lidl.ie/go full Lidl for more.
If you need something stored, Secure Storage in Letterkenny have over 120 internal units available. Maybe it's extra space for personal belongings or storage for your business. Secure Storage have everything from small wardrobe-sized lockers to garden shed-sized rooms, right up to garage-sized units and large commercial storage depots, all available to rent on a short or long-term basis. Whatever you need stored, big or small, Secure Storage at Kiltoy, Letterkenny have the solution. See securestorage.lk.ie.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 91 32033.
It's the final countdown in this season's League of Ireland, and Finn Harps need your support for their two massive home games against Bohemians this Saturday and then Shelburne on Friday week the 30th. Ollie Horgan's men will kick off early at 4 against Bows on Saturday and then face Damien Duff's Shelburne next Friday at 8. Tickets for both matches are now available on finharps.ie. This ad is sponsored by Highland Bakery, your #1 local bakery.
Now, a huge piece of work has been done through the noteworthy section of the journal.ie. It's In the Weeds investigation, and I would direct any of you with an interest in this conversation as it progresses to go and check it out, because we're only going to be able to scratch the surface really of all the work that has been done by Anthea Lachia, who joins us on the programme now. Anthea, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi Greg, thanks for having me.
Right, okay, so talk to me about this investigation. What is its focus? Is it the use of pesticides by local authorities? I don't want to misframe it, if you know what I mean. So as the person behind this work, could you do that for me?
Of course. So, yes, this is about pesticide use by local authorities in Ireland. So we were interested in finding out what types of pesticides are used by all the different local authorities, how much is spent. Because this information isn't publicly available, so very little is known about it, we wanted to put this out there and consider the background and the concerns as well around chemical pesticide use.
Okay, and before we talk about its use and the potential dangers of it, what interests me is the three that don't use it. Do we know, like, we're not able to get information from three of them, or have they taken a decision not to use it? I know it sounds strange to focus on the three, but what of the three local authorities that aren't using these type of chemicals? Do we know the reason why?
So the ones that are, in general, they're pretty much all using it, except we did not have a response from Kerry County Council, and Westmeath County Council sent us only a partial reply, so we can't say. We then have two councils that are only using them for invasive species, and that would be Dublin City Council and Cork City Council. Okay. So in general, they're being used, and then when it comes to louds, they're not currently being used, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to be used.
Okay, so we can't really look to a particular county for a groundbreaking approach that we could all follow. Right, okay, so talk to us about the type of chemicals, and Donegal County Council are among those still using these chemicals. Talk to us about the chemicals and why this was worthy of investigation, Anthea.
Sure. So we looked into these chemicals which are in pesticides, and that would include weed killers, so herbicides. For example, the popular brand name Roundup would be an example. That's really, really widely used. It's important because it's actually quite a controversial chemical. It is actually called glyphosate, and it has been linked to risk of developing cancer. So there are concerns both for human health and for the environment when using these chemicals. several countries have banned their use. So France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Denmark and Sweden have all banned pesticide use in public areas. And so many of the experts we spoke to are actually calling for a ban, for Ireland to ban them as well. So it's particularly relevant when it comes to, I suppose, upcoming legislation as well, because there is currently a review at EU level to see whether glyphosate will be banned. And we expect to have a decision in June next year. There's also a proposal to ban pesticide use in public areas from the European Commission. So there's actually a lot of activity from the law side. So it's kind of interesting to see where Ireland is at in that sense.
And we spend quite a lot on using these chemicals too. You have figures for County Donegal.
Yes, we do. So we found out that Donegal is spending about €8,500 a year on average on pesticides, and this is looking at the years from 2019 to 2021. So for all councils, we asked them for all available records, and this is what Donegal was able to give us. The last known year glyphosate was used in 2021. That's based on the records they returned to us. We also were able to determine that they're definitely still using chemical herbicides, and the products used include Roundup, Pistol, and other organic ones as well, called Cotton Gold, for example, the brand name. So, we don't really know whether alternatives are being used in Donegal because they didn't respond to that question. But several councils in Ireland are definitely considering and using alternatives because there are alternatives to these pesticides.
Yeah, I mean, like we would be, I think us as individuals would be very careful how we use these around our property, because if you read the back of one of these cartons, you'd wonder why you've got it in your hand at all. Not that long ago, I saw someone walking down not far from where I'm sitting right now, effectively in a hazmat suit, it looked like, spraying footpaths and along the footpaths and the sides of footpaths. And I remember thinking to myself at that time, no one knows this is happening. What about dogs or pets or toddlers that might be walking along and touching this grass? I didn't see any signage up or anything like that, and I'm not going to lie to you, Anthony, it worried me, because I presumed they wouldn't be spraying anything that could be damaging to humans like that with no warning.
Absolutely, it is very concerning, and a lot of the sources we spoke to said that, and the fact that there are no signs in place often. Well, I've never seen a sign in place when it comes to local authorities, but it takes a few days often for the grass to become yellow. When certain spraying takes place, it turns the grass yellow. So we've probably all seen the yellow grass at the sides of the road, but that does take a few days. So it is possible that people are walking on freshly sprayed grassy verges, for example, and that of course includes vulnerable groups like children and pets. So that was one of the concerns really strongly expressed by the people we spoke to.
Yeah, and we've used phrases like they're planning to, or considering, or looking into use of alternatives. What is the resistance? And I'm sorry if I missed it, if you mentioned it in previous comments. Is it that these types of products are cheaper? Is it someone's maybe not thinking outside the box and saying, or a contract's being signed, or what seemingly resistance to move away from using these dangerous chemicals that have been banned in other countries in public spaces? What is the delay as far as you could determine?
There are concerns, yes, when it comes to the cost of some alternatives. So some of the foam machines, for example, can be quite costly. They can use a lot of water. Some of them use palm oil, or at least used to use palm oil. So the councils are kind of still considering them, and they're also concerned about resources. So several councils mentioned that if they were to use alternatives, they would have to be used more frequently. That would put a strain on resources, and that there needs to be sort of a combination of alternatives in the future and a sort of in their approach. But the those would be kind of the main concerns that came up.
But are they thinking outside the box? Because obviously, using these products, it's a blunt instrument. And I do note in your report, Dublin, where an alternative has been used, people are welcoming the fact that, other plants, other bits of nature that ordinarily wouldn't be there are there now. Do you know what I mean? So there are more than the advantages of human health.
Absolutely, and several councils and several sections of councils are moving completely away from using chemical herbicides, and we know that there is a growing awareness, and the councils themselves mentioned this, that there's a change in public awareness when it comes to these chemicals. So I don't know, I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny, Anthea, because, we do regular gardening slots, as most radio stations do, and most people aren't asking, what weed killer can I use? They're asking for alternatives. So I think, the local authorities are actually behind the public on this one. I think, individuals are thinking, they're thinking more environmentally and public health wise than some of our local authorities. You're obviously a science writer, and you write about a lot of different things. When compiling this report and going through it, did it shock you? Did anything surprise you, if you know what I mean? Because you've seen a lot. Anything take you aback?
Well, I suppose the fact that we're kind of still lagging behind, I suppose, compared to other countries in Ireland when it comes to banning pesticide use in public areas and in environmentally sensitive areas. And I think a lot of work is also done by residents associations and, privately as well, hotels and golf courses. So there seems to still be a lot to be done in terms of changing how we do things and sort of I suppose once you start seeing these things, you can't unsee them as well. So if I look outside and I see a sprayed area now I'll notice this. So I think it's about noticing this and just keeping track of it and doing what we can.
All right, Anthea, thanks for your time this morning. I really appreciate it. And if people want to find this investigation, the journal.ie obviously regularly updating. So where on the website could people find your investigation?
So if people want to go to noteworthy.ie, it'll be there on Twitter as well, and social media, Noteworthy and the journal.ie. You'll definitely find it there.
Good stuff. All right, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you very much.
Take
Greg.
care. Bye-bye. That is freelance science writer Anthea Lacia, who is responsible for that investigative piece that's available on noteworthy.ie. Donegal County Council, the estimated annual spend, including contractor spend in recent years, yearly average of €80,500. So over the time period of 2019 to 2021, at least €241,000 was spent during this time. And we know the health risks and the risks to the environment, and we know pesticides is linked to cancer. As far as we can determine, not we. I don't want to make out I've anything to do with this. This is all Anthea's work. These dangerous chemicals are being sprayed in public areas. And as I say, I can't say for any certainty what was in this person's container that they were spraying on this main footpath, right? Okay, but we can presume, we can't rule out the fact that it was a dangerous pesticide because it's being sprayed in public areas. It would make you think, when you go out with your toddler or your pet or whatever it might be, and you don't know if someone's, because there's no signs as far as I can determine, you don't know if this dangerous chemical has just been sprayed in that area, and they're in playing with the grass and touching their face, or your dog's chewing the grass or licking it or cocking its leg or whatever it might be. I think we should stop spraying this stuff in public areas. I don't know what the consequences of that might be, but that stuff is it's worrying. I'm worried by it, and I'm worried about it anyway. I'm not easily worried, really. All right, back with more shortly.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunan'sgadraw.com or any club member.
The Johnny Doherty Festival of Irish Music and Dancing Ardra, Friday 23rd to Sunday 25th of September. 3 days of Kelly's dance workshops, pub sessions and concerts featuring Zoe Conway and John McIntyre on Friday in the Beehive, Cherries the Ladies on Saturday in the GEA Clubhouse, and Dermot Byrne, Breed Harper and Stevie Cooney on Sunday in the Beehive. For more details, see johnnydohertyfestival.com.
Gear up for the club championship at Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, where you'll find all the essentials to carry you through the season. Shop the full range of O'Neill's Morn shorts, socks and Sassoon mouthguards, and get the new Michael Murphy Ghost gloves with enhanced grip from just €15. Shop in-store or get free next day nationwide delivery when you spend €85 online at michaelmurphysports.ie.
I've great news for everyone who's looking for a good night's sleep. Restex Beds are looking forward to welcoming you to their brand new showroom at Mountaintop, Letterkenny. It's one of the biggest and best bed and mattress showrooms in the Northwest and has fantastic opening offers now in store. Restex is the most trusted name in beds and mattresses in the Northwest. Why don't you call in and get the bed of your dreams at Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Attention sheep farmers. The Broca Perth Blackfish Sheep Breeders Association 9th Annual Show and Sale will take place this Friday the 23rd in Broca Mart. The show is at 1:30 with the sale at 5 p.m. This ad is sponsored by Fury Plant Hire, Glasha.
She never loses sight of a single detail. She knows the names and numbers of every member. She knows the players on every team. She knows the fixtures of every team. She knows what's going on at every level. She keeps everyone connected. She makes meetings work. She makes everything work. But it doesn't feel like work to her. Her club would be lost without her. She is a GAA club secretary, and she belongs where we all belong. GAA, where we all belong.
We were talking to St. Eunice GAA club reps from it a little earlier on, John and Ollie, and it reminded me of quite an important day this is today in Donegal's GAA history, you could say. What were you doing 30 years ago today? Maybe you were parking the car or sitting having a pint, or maybe even in the ground, perhaps ahead of the All-Ireland final, 1992, the 20th of September. 30 years ago today was when history was made, 3 decades on. Really quite a significant day. What are your memories of that day? Probably should have asked you a little earlier on, but as I say, for some people, it will probably actually be the sporting highlight of their lives if you were lucky enough to be there, or even if you were listening on the radio or watching on TV. Historic times. Okay, we chatted to, much more importantly, I suppose, Ellen Doherty yesterday. You might remember Ellen's story. Ellen is living in a house that is devastated by defective concrete blocks built by her and her husband. Very sadly, Ellen's husband no longer with her. He passed away in 2019, and Ellen had that to contend with, but also herself was very sick in Galway with COVID. Back home, thankfully, but her home falling to bits. And Ellen was on to us yesterday about her chimney stack, literally fearful of going to sleep for fear this chimney might come through. Ellen, good morning to you again. Thanks for rejoining us. I hope you're okay. It was a tough call yesterday for you, for me, and for the people listening. So I really appreciate you being so honest and sort of helping people who don't really still get it, the devastating impacts of this horrible defective block scandal. Good morning, Ellen.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay. So I hope... Did you get any comfort from the reaction from people to what you've been going through, Ellen? Has it helped you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, what happened after the phone call?
Well, later in the afternoon, a young man came to my street, and I don't think he wants to be named, but he said he would take down the chimney and rebuild it. He's got men working for him. Mm-hmm. He didn't know who he is, but I can't believe how good the people are. So many people phoned me, and I just can't believe how good people are.
Has it lifted your spirits a bit, Ellen?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay, so you're feeling a bit better today than you did yesterday?
Definitely I am.
Okay, that's good. And people were ringing in, offering to help, to try and, even support you financially to fix the wall at the back. I'm not sure if that's a realistic option for you at the moment, because I know you're very keen to get that done. But it seems that thanks to this young man's generosity, and he has people with him as well, that they're going to make you feel a bit more safer in your home anyway going forward.
He said it'll take 2 weeks with him and his men. And as for the back wall, I don't know what's going to happen with it. But I'm hopeful.
Good. Okay, there's a wee bit more light at the end of the tunnel then for you, is there?
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. And Ellen, I'm going to ask the question directly to people that make these decisions. I don't know if it will be tomorrow or when it will be. I want to know exactly, and I want a minister to explain to me exactly, Ellen, how you as a lady in your mid-60s, as you said yesterday, unable to borrow any money, I want to know from them exactly how you're going to be able to fix your home under this new scheme. And I'll not be happy until I get an answer to that question either, Ellen, because if you can't get your house fixed, well then I think the scheme's a load of crap.
My QS, I'm not going to name him, but he said to me that because I have 3 walls around the house and another one at the front, I would need to borrow 150,000 on top of the 420,000 to leave what's known as a builder's finished. I even don't know what a builder's finish means.
No. I mean, that's hopeless. I mean, there's no way. Even if you could have access to that money, why should you have to borrow €150,000 to get your house back to the way it was?
Because he said that the 3 retaining walls. Actually, he said there are 4 retaining walls. And he said that would take a vast sum of money to do. And then he's only going to do the outside leaf of the house, and I would have to borrow 150,000 to do that.
Unbelievable. Would you have...
even before that wall fell... Oh, sorry.
No, you go on, Ellen. It's you I want to listen to.
Even before that wall fell in, I was worried sick about where was I going to find that kind of money.
I get you.
And I'm not on my own. I mean, everybody who has every house owner who has a mica-riddled house will have to find extra money.
Ellen, if the option,
and God love them.
If the option had been there for you to take the maximum grants available but build a smaller house, which meant you wouldn't have to have worried about borrowing money, would you have considered that option?
Yes, but you need planning permission for that, and that's €3,000.
Yeah, I know.
Out of your grant money.
Yeah, okay. Ellen, we've loads more questions which we're going to ask the powers that be for answers. I'm glad, and it's a little thing in the wider scale of things, but I'm glad that young lad and his team are going to come and sort that chimney out for you. I know that was a great worry for you, and maybe that might make the winter a little bit more tolerable for you, and hopefully we can keep the pressure on to get this scheme to be a workable scheme for people like you and the majority of other people. But Ellen, thanks for coming back on and just sharing that wee bit of good news in that whole story with us. I really appreciate it.
All right, Greg. Thank you very much.
No, God bless you. Thanks very much indeed. I really appreciate it. Okay. Right, so a bit of positive news there. Between that and Milford, it's encouraging that something's getting done. Okay, the lines are closed, by the way, of course, on our competition for 2 tickets for the St. Eunan's GEA Club Development Draw. Exciting times at that club with the funding they have from the state and also hopefully the success of this draw. They're going to be able to provide a brand new pitch floodlit as well, which is exciting, isn't it? But we have Stephen McLaughlin from Calhame in Letterkenny. Stephen, you are the winner of a ticket into that draw. You correctly answered 1930. Sorry, I'm obsessed with money. 1930. Cathal Grant, Buncrana, you are also a winner of a ticket as well. So well done to the two of you. We've another couple to give away. We're going to give them away over the course of maybe Friday and Friday, I think I was told. So stay tuned for us on Friday. We'll give you another chance. In the meantime, if you want to get a ticket, you could go to stnewnansgadraw.com, where you can win, potentially, that Hyundai, but there's trip to Lapland worth $5,000, ride-on lawnmowers, fuel vouchers and everything. But Stephen McLaughlin, you've got a ticket. Cathal Grant, you've got a ticket. We'll get those tickets out to you. But if you want to get yours, because it's a limited number, they've sold over half the tickets now at this stage. And the draw is due to take place on the 1st of November. But they're going to pull it forward when the tickets sell out. So if you want to get involved now. stnewnansgadraw.com. Thanks to Ollie and John for calling in. And well done to you too. You're in the draw. Why doesn't the bank give her the money? The government pulled the banks out before, so why don't they do the same for the government now and help these people affected by MICA? Well, why don't the government put the pressure on the banks to do it? The banks can sit back, right, collecting their big paychecks, and the taxpayer and through the government will will restore their assets to their former value. What a deal that is. Can you imagine being bailed out to the tune of billions 12, 13 years ago, and now you've lent money on defective buildings, and you're going to get bailed out again, because that's what's happening. The taxpayers bailing out again these people. The government should make sure they can get a clawback off the bank, or the bank should do the right thing. Why should these institutions always have to be compelled to do the right thing? Right, let me see here. I have that done, and I have that done. All right. Texter here. Greg, a lot of young people have left Ireland because the jobs that they are qualified are not readily available here in Ireland. You could say that some of them have been driven away by their parents all through his school days. All wee Johnny hears is college, college, college. So the leaving cert comes along, and wee Johnny gets excellent results. And off he goes to college of his choice at great expense to mammy and daddy. That is basically him gone. When he finishes college with his degree, he finds that somewhere abroad is the only place he can get the job he was qualified for. Fast forward 10 years, wee Johnny's living and working in the USA or Australia, and the parents are sitting at home wondering why they only see him maybe once a year if they're lucky. If he had got a less qualified job here in Ireland, they'd see him regularly. I wonder how many parents in later life regret pushing their young people so hard during their school days. All right, and on that note, that's where we have to leave it. Thank you to everyone who took part in the programme. Thanks to Donna Marie and Emma, who researched and produced the show. We are back with you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.